Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Yes, speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, years past the year zero. Today's show's a big one. We can't thank you enough for joining us. Bang! Shout out to Twine for that beat drop right there. That was magnificent. As are today's guests. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest heavyweight in UFC history, Stipe Miocic will be joining me. He and I crowd surfed in Columbus, Ohio 1 year ago on College Game Day. Mm-hmm. He and I got a chance to chat a little bit behind the scenes there for like a 5. Seemed like one of the nicest humans of all time. I think these cage fighters are some of the deepest thinking people that we've ever encountered. Matt Mitrione used to come through our office. Okay, he's in the area. He's a Bellator fighter, big guy, big dude. Oh, yeah. He'd come in, he'd pass out here, get into an incredibly deep intellectual conversation for like 45 minutes, throw up some hoops, maybe chug a beer, then he would just leave. Mm-hmm. And then it was like a tornado of that was a guy that could beat everybody's fucking ass on earth. Yep. That is this guy. This guy seemed to be incredibly nice, deep thinking, and could legitimately beat the hell out of every human on earth. The greatest heavyweight in Ultimate Fighting Championship history, Stipe Miocic. Who's he fighting next? Ooh. Is it Johnny Burns Jones? Oh. Or is it Ngannou? That's his name, right?
Yeah. Frank.
I know a little bit about it. Can't wait to talk to Stipe. He's a good guy. Also, diehard Browns fan. I assume Diggs will say something that is potentially going to land Stipe's fist in his fucking mouth.
I ain't stupid.
Fresh out of you survived COVID, but will you survive Stipe's fists whenever you make a stupid comment about the Browns to their toughest fan of all time, Stipe? Also, in the second hour, we have Pittsburgh radio man, former WCW commentator, Mark Madden joining us. Everybody knows whenever, you know, some things are for the fans, okay? And we appreciate our fans on this show. We really do. We love the fact that people spend time listening or watching every day. We have no idea why. The shirt literally says exactly my thoughts on the show whenever I watch other people's shows with you know, how just like how regimented it is, you know, and how like professional all these shows are, and, you know, all the bullshit that has to have it just this show has none of that. This show stinks in comparison to other shows, but the fact that people listen and watch, we are very thankful for, okay? Yesterday, we had 56,000 people watching live on YouTube at one point. Shout out to Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. Shout out to all the people that do that. But some things, okay, aren't just for the incredible people that follow along. Some things are for us in the studio. Some things are for me in specific. You'll see some selfish moments on the show where I will mention something that I know is going to cause some shit, and I just kind of throw it into the group over here and just kind of watch it happen. And the show kind of gets derailed for a couple seconds. But that's 100% just for me to kind of like talk about it after the show. Oh, yeah. Mark Madden is a big For the Office guest. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Office, we listen to Mark Madden's radio show every single day, 3 to 6. We listen to it in the office whenever we get off the air. This guy, if you don't enjoy him, we understand. Sure. We very much understand and appreciate. But if you don't find this dude one of the most electric talkers in the history of talking, I don't know what's wrong with you. Can't wait to chat with him. His thoughts on the Steelers. What about the Browns? Don't they deserve a little bit of sympathy for what they're going through right now? We'll ask Mark Madden about that. Also, his thoughts on the Ohio State-Alabama situation. I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on that. And also hockey. The United States junior team beat Canada to win the gold medal last night. Took your sport, got better than you at it, and made it bigger and more famous. But we still appreciate and love the Canadians. But the junior team, they celebrated with a trash can that had the Canadian flag on top of it.
Oh, it was a barrel.
What was it?
It was a barrel.
okay, trash barrel that they brought out there, and they put Canada's flag on it.
Yes.
And then they took a picture of it. And the hockey purists and the hockey community are not happy about it. Pittsburgh, obviously, a big hockey town. I'm excited to hear what Mark Madden has to talk about. And then in the third hour, we'll have the Arrow Tom Pelissero to break down all of the rumblings in the general manager hiring process and also the head coaching hiring. How about the COVID, no more positive results in Cleveland? What does that mean for anything else? Is there anything else to be looking for? Can't wait to talk to the Arrow Tom Pelissero. And also, hopefully, we'll get a chance to chat with you. 1-888-MAD-DOG-6. If you want to get on the phones, we can't wait to chat with you. Can't have a good call, though.
Yeah, come on.
You know what I mean? Like, whenever you get on there, don't be scared to deliver. Like, don't be scared to go ahead and let it all out. Don't be scared to put together a prophetic idea or ideology, or maybe a take or a question. But don't be scared to get in there and just deliver that thing.
Come on. Hell yeah.
Or just don't. It happens. Yeah. And if we say something about it not being great, don't take it personal. It's just for the good of the show, not for you as a human. I assume you're a good human, just like everybody else that we bear. Trevor Lawrence declaring for the NFL. Didn't win the Heisman. No, congrats to Devontae Smith out of Alabama. There was a GM hiring down in Houston. Was Deshaun Watson reacting to that or things that were happening in the world? Is he upset? Was Caserio good hire? There's so much happening in our world. We can't wait to chat about it. At Tone Diggs is here just a few days after getting out of his COVID cave. Once again, the face of COVID survivors for all of us. Tone Diggs. How you doing, Tone?
Hey, baby Tony.
COVID cowboy. Someone call me.
Ooh.
I see that hat on. I was happy that you mentioned being a COVID cowboy. Trevor Lawrence is going to the NFL. He has declared officially something we all kind of knew, except for a couple of people that thought he was potentially going to come back because he didn't win a national championship this year, didn't win a Heisman. Did he still have work to be done at Clemson was what some people said. Everybody else said, nah, he's going to go get paid. He does declare Trevor Lawrence going to the NFL. How do you feel about this decision by Trevor Lawrence? And do you think he is going to be a good NFL quarterback?
It's absolutely the right decision by Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 1,000%. Everyone knew that in here except for one person.
Boston Connor, he's a stooge, but we're not even going to talk about that. No, but the Trevor Lawrence thing.
The thing about, and I don't know if this is just like my stupid personality that like if everyone's saying one thing, I have to fucking go the other way. But like everyone thinks, like all of the pundits, he's the next great one. Mm-hmm. Is he?
Well, the last great one they called was Andrew. He was pretty fucking good.
Pretty fucking good.
The one before that was what? Elway?
Elway. Pretty good.
Pretty fucking good. It's interesting how they skip over the Peyton Ryan Leaf, because didn't everybody think that they both were going to be really good, right?
Yeah.
And Peyton, though, was unbelievable, obviously. Yep. So I think whenever everybody is on one side about a couple of them in the past, it's worked out. Has it? I mean, I feel like Trevor Lawrence has worked out. Or no, I'm not saying, but the Trevor Lawrence comparisons to Andrew Luck, that worked out until he retired young because he just got he's got speed bagged basically when he was out there on the football. Just boom, boom, boom. But he made plays. It was a style of play as well, which I assume some people will say. But then John Elway also worked. I think Trevor Lawrence has a chance to work, just like these young quarterbacks. You look at Joey Burrow. I mean, he almost got his head dislodged from his body a few times. He was dominant this year. Herbert, obviously love him. There was a couple of hypotheticals that were being tossed out. If you could take Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence right now, who would you take? And that was a very dumb question because obviously you take Justin Herbert because he's already proven that he's been able to make the jump to the NFL. That's not always going to happen. There's a lot of quarterbacks that fizzle out. I mean, people have gone through them on a lot of shows. I think Jake Locker at one point was supposed to be that's just one name, by the way. There's still another 15 that we want to throw out there. Who knows if Trevor Lawrence will be able to make the jump, but I think everybody has deemed that he will be able to. Will Jacksonville be the spot that'll take care of him? Then who's going to? Is Zach Wilson going to end up going above Justin Fields right now? That is a wild time to be alive, especially with old Cuz going into the goddamn national championship.
Is there a chance we have, if Justin Fields comes out and plays incredible in the national championship again?
Which, by the way, all signs are pointing to he probably will.
Could, yeah. Yep. Is there going to be a situation where
all signs he could,
where it was Andrew Luck and RG3, and then there was like a little bit of chatter, like should it actually be RG3, even though Andrew Luck's been deemed, just like Trevor Lawrence has, like the next great one. And then we saw how that turned out. Andrew Luck was great. RG3 was great for a couple years. Still very good at backing up stuff.
I was going through rehab on my knee, I believe. Yeah, had to be my knee. Whenever Andrew took his visit to our building, and the next trip was to Washington. He's like, I got to go to Washington. And I forget who else was in the room, but why are you going to Washington? Like, well, I got to go just in case. And everybody's like, there's no just in case, dude. Like, has nobody told you yet? Like, I feel like we know.
We're already selling luck jerseys.
I'm pretty low on the entire totem pole. They would not tell me a goddamn thing. I don't know if you see my Twitter. You will eventually whenever you get here, but they don't tell me a damn thing. I think so. He even had to go take a trip to Washington and did the whole thing. And I would assume did we meet with
Tripsticks?
Bob?
I wonder if we met
Probably, right?
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes all that shit is just cooked up in the media so that we have things to talk about. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, like last year, what was it? Joe Burrow's not going to go. Not going to. Like that was the thing that was cooked
Tell
up.
the Bengals no.
Yeah, exactly. That was the whole thing. So I think that conversation always happens because people need things to talk about. It may be one particular scout is potentially trying to throw somebody off of something else, but it feels like Trevor Lawrence is locked in and won. But check back here in a couple months. I assume we'll be talking about somebody talking about one potential pro scout like Fields, and listen to this, Mac Jones more than Trevor Lawrence. That'll come out at some point, I assume. Congrats to Devontae winning the Heisman. A wide receiver won the Heisman, which is not a normal thing anymore. Back in the day, used to be running backs, used to be wide receivers. I mean, corners have gotten it before. That has become a quarterback award, basically. It's pretty much what it has become. Devontae Smith, though, watching him play, unbelievable. Can't wait to see what he does in the NFL. He has his whole town on his back. I don't know if you guys saw that. Down Louisiana. I only watched 6 minutes of the show, and it just so happened to be
The good 6.
Right when he got the
only
trophy.
6.
like as it was happening.
Yeah,
I was I didn't know it was happening. Didn't talk about it yesterday. Great sports show. Hey, great fucking sports show. The Heisman. Didn't even know it was happening.
It's a weird
Well,
year.
they're not in New York. They're not doing all this stuff.
I guess, yeah, but I didn't even know what was going on. So I'm flipping through the channel after knocking somebody out in the Oculus Arena.
Of course. Congrats.
Thank you. I went back and practiced some on some weaker opponents.
Oh, just work on the moves?
You got a
Yeah.
speed bag?
You do have a speed bag and a heavy bag, and there's a focus ball if you want to get in there. So I think it'll kind of come swinging at you if you want. Yeah, the heavy bag, actually, there's something in there, I guess, that it judges how hard you hit it, and then it puts you in a class.
Oh, it's like one of those drunk machines.
Exactly. By the way, I have not walked out of many bars that have those without the record on that thing. And I think a lot of my Oculus opponents are learning that. But I need to work on a couple more combos. I only got the gut hook.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to get me knocked out eventually whenever I get up to the top ranks there. I was reading reviews on the fight thing that I play, by the way. A lot of boxers saying this is the most realistic.
Oh,
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, and they're like thankful. I was reading reviews. They're like, we are very thankful that it was probably from the people that made it, by the way.
True. Yeah.
But there was a couple of them. So unless they did it a couple of times, they're like, this is real life boxing. Like, don't expect every heavy punch to like knock the person out. Like you have to land your punches and things like that. So it makes me feel as if I feel like I am garnering a skill here while doing this. And if that truck wants to cut me off again on the highway, I will pull over. I will pull them all out with a mask on, obviously, and I will fucking Oculus box them in real life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How about that?
I got this. That's just a night.
Look out.
I got 13 bodies on the Oculus with that one move.
I mean,
13 bodies. Papa! Gut punch. Ugh, bang! Right to the jaw.
See
chin
ya.
up.
See you later. How you doing?
Don't forget, no losses. Let's not leave that out as well.
I got people, no losses. Every win has been by knockout. I don't know if everybody's playing throw the fight and that's how it's going. And if that's how everybody is, I'm all the way at the top class too, by the way. Thank you. Here I am. People have been sending me combos to learn from. Tyson has this, I guess, this back, like almost like a
the liver shot.
Ooh, yeah.
liver shot, and then they open up an uppercut. So I'm going to work on that one with the next. Yeah, I'm going to work on that one. Anyway, so I got done out of the Oculus Arena, and I'm flipping through the thingy because there's nothing on TV now, okay?
Man.
Yeah.
Monday, what are we doing? There was no Monday Night Football. I was at a loss all of a sudden. Just kind of take that out of our life real quick. No Tuesday Night Football, which there had been a couple times.
Yeah.
No chance of that. And as we're moving along here, it's just like, okay, so there's no football anymore.
wow.
We know Wednesday afternoon football. So I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing here. And I saw a Heisman presentation. And I was like, are they replaying a Heisman thing? And it was like 2020 Heisman. I was like, holy shit, here we go. And it was literally as they were introducing all the legends that were on Zoom calls from like the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and all that shit. And they have that big thing, and it's like it's like a $50, yeah, from the fucking Zoom thing. So I'm literally watching this, and I'm immediately judging everybody's backdrop, you know, because there's some Heismans that did not give a fuck, okay? And it was in the earlier years. They did not make this collage here, but
Those are some good ones.
yeah, Tim Tebow, lower right corner, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, he did great. Tori believe, there next to him. And then if you go, yeah. So I literally caught it as it was going. And then and this year's, I was like, no way. I just showed up like as he was announced, and this year's winner. And then they show the 4-shot. You got Mac Jones and Devontae sitting in the same room. And then you had Trevor Lawrence sitting in like a team room, it looked like. And there's a couple people scattered in there. And then, you get the whole crew's in there, right? Yeah. So then they announced the winner. And Mac Jones has to like actually turn and look at him and clap for him. And then you see Trevor and Kyle Trask. They're both, I've been in that position, by the way. College Football Awards show. I shouldn't have won out of everybody in the country, but out of the finalists, I should have won. Okay, the Ray Guy Award. Okay. We weren't the right 3 to get selected. I knew that, and I think the other guys knew that. But out of the 3, I was clearly the guy that should have won. And they got a camera like right here where this microphone is right on your face, and they're like, "And to win." And I'm like, this speech is about to be.
Get ready.
Like, hey, this is going to be awesome. Everybody at West Virginia, the boys had a party to watch this thing. Like they were excited for me to get up there, and I'm like, basically, I feel like I'm going to win. And then they announce the other guy's name or whatever, and then you're on camera, and somehow I'm not supposed to say, what the fuck? Like, and by the way, if I do that, I'm a bad sport.
Who was it?
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I don't remember.
Which makes sense. It wasn't the right guy.
Well, Ray had a run there for like good 5-6 years where all the guys he picked stunk at punting footballs.
Come on,
the NFL. Ray. They were good in college, but in the NFL, they were just not good. But I still have a lot of respect for Ray, but it's kind of fucked up. You put me on camera that close.
Very.
I wouldn't have even came. Like, if I'm not going to win, I'm not. You think Tim McAfee wanted to miss work to fly down to fucking Orlando in this in this funeral suit you got him in right now? You think Sally wanted to do that? No way in hell.
I'm looking from 2007 to 2010, and I don't know any of the names that won.
Yeah, you do. Nice guys, by the way. The dude that won was a very nice guy.
Chaz Henry, Drew Butler, Matt
what?
Matt Fodgy. That was 2008.
That was it. That was him.
The Fodge?
Fodge won. Oklahoma State, I think.
Yep.
He only had like, I think he only had like 20-some punts in the whole season. I had like 20-some 50-yard punts in the entire season. So it was like it was very interesting. I don't even think he had enough punts to even register for some stats. So
Brandon Weed was probably
what a joke.
They were slinging the ball. Yeah, he was a good punter probably, but he hadn't really punted in the way like Ray was talking into the delivery of who won. Like this guy had shown that he was blah, blah. I was like, oh, he's talking about me for sure. And then that guy won. I was like, really nice guy. We had beers the night before. I really like him. But the situation of having to be on camera and lose, and then you're like, oh, so you just used me basically for this entire fucking little spectacle, little clown show you got here. And Trevor Lawrence is just supposed to sit there and be like, oh, way to go. You know what I mean? But if I'm a GM, do I want Trevor Lawrence to, and not Trevor Lawrence, but losers of awards, do I not want them to be a little bit pissed off? Like, a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, flip the camera off.
At that age, you shouldn't, be jaded towards awards knowing that they're all bullshit. Like in college, you should still believe in those things. Right. You know what I mean? I don't know, but the whole process was awesome. Devontae, they showed his entire hometown, which is in Louisiana, by the way. So his entire town's from in Louisiana somewhere. Could be big LSU fans. They all got Bama shirts on. The entire place did an entire interview with the mom, and then at the end she said, "Roll Tide." And basically, it seemed like the entire town was like, "Roll Tide." It was like Saban's got troops on the ground in Louisiana. Does Coach O even know that? So it was literally like 6 minutes of just like great TV, and I was like, all right, well, off we go here. So I saw the Heisman. Congrats to Devontae. Trevor Lawrence declares this morning he's going to make a lot of money. Who's going to go? Justin Fields, Zach Wilson. Patriots, you guys going to get a quarterback or what?
I mean, who knows? Lombardi said the other day on Hammer Down that, 7 teams in the top 10 need a quarterback. So hopefully Trey Lance falls to us. But if not, let's bring in Fitzmagic. Come home. Finish the AFC East. You've played for 3 of the 4. You might as well play for all 4 of them. Let's go and get 10 wins.
You're listening to @BostonConnor, a 25-year-old man from outside of Boston who has lived a very privileged and lucky life in his sports world.
Yeah.
He was 5 years old when the Patriots dynasty began, and he is currently realizing what his future looks like, I think, which is a team that maybe isn't always going to go to the Super Bowl every single year, and now they got to kind of rebuild that thing. Tom E. Curran quote tweeted Adam Schefter tweeted.
Yeah.
Okay, and Tommy Curran from NBC Sports Boston, Patriots insider up there, he tweeted a drunk person gif, basically, like eyes confused, because Adam Schefter tweeted that Cam Newton has a potential landing spot at the Washington football team for somewhere from $20 to $30 million a year or something like that. Yeah. On the Greg Hill show, shout out to Greg Hill, Adam Schefter was asked where Cam Newton would go this offseason. He said, the most natural spot for Cam would be Washington if he's going to leave New England, obviously, because of Ron Rivera. When asked about the contract, he said, I'm going to guess 2 years with incentives, $40 to $50 million.
Okay.
Could you fathom Cam Newton getting a $50 million contract after this year? I'd be so fucking pumped for Cam Newton. I'd be so incredibly pumped for Cam Newton. I'm like, good for you, man. Hey, 86 days that guy couldn't get a job. Goes to New England, okay, 4:30 a.m. wake up time, or 4:20 wake up time, 4:30 out the door. He worked his ass off. It just didn't work out as much. Now he's going to get $40 to $50 million because he went through the New England process. I mean, good for Cam. Good for Cam.
Go get it.
But that means what? Alex Smith is definitely out if that's going to happen. Alex Smith, by the way, 5-1 quarterback. Bruce Arians alluded to that on Greeny yesterday, the show that I got a chance to go on. Bruce came on after. He said, we're not playing a team that's, 6-10 or whatever. We're playing a 5-1 team. Dwayne Haskins ain't playing. Alex Smith, I guess, he said 4-1, but Alex Smith is actually 5-1 over there. Are they going to extend Alex Smith after this year? Is there potential a whole new beginning in Washington next year? You got that incredible D-line. Are you going to sign a quarterback? Maybe make some moves in a draft, go get a new quarterback? Or is Alex Smith going to be able to potentially settle down in the DMV? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A guy who went through 17 surgeries, damn near death, who's 5-1 as your quarterback, and he gave Aaron Donald a piggyback ride. Okay, what are we going to do? Or is Schefter just saying that's what he thinks, and obviously Ron Rivera would be a spot that he knows about?
If you look at it, it's basically the floor for starting quarterbacks if you're not on your rookie contract. Like Derek Carr makes 22, Teddy Bridgewater makes 23, Alex Smith 23, Brady 25. Like that's and then it drops down to the rookie contract.
So that would be them saying you're a starting quarterback, but we don't view you as, and you shouldn't either, as the
Upper echelon.
$150, $200 million quarterback. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Is Alex Smith contract up after this year?
No, it says here on this website that he is there next year as well for the $23 million.
All right. We got to get to a break.
We could swap, bring Alex Smith to New England. If Cam wants to go down there, we'll just trade him right back. Come on up, Al.
Who's going to be your offense coordinator, McDaniels?
Yeah, McDaniel, sure. I mean, might as well just give it to a Belichick. We got a few of them out.
Alex Smith has 2 years left in Washington.
So who knows what the hell's going to happen, but it's always drama. Ty Schmidt is here as well. We will be getting to a break here because we got Stipe Miocic on the other side. Greatest heavyweight in UFC history will be joining us. Can't wait to chat with him. And also your phone calls after that, 1-888-MAD-DOG-6. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Sirius XM, Channel 82, Mad Dog Sports Radio. There's a grown man with face paint on. So you're Big Nut.
I am, and you're Little Nut.
Well, I've had a few of those in my life. Hey, I'll tell you what, Big Nut. I hope to find you one day on my wedding night. Big Nut!
Little Nut!
You did a great job, too. The lines are straight. No DUI problem there. You're really doing a great job here, sir. Hey, Big Nut, I love everything you're about, bud.
Because we are going to win the game.
He just spit in my mouth while saying that. The most likely team to make the college football playoff is the team that is in Columbus. He said khakis are way too close to that team from up north. If you don't put black pants on right now, you're going to get booed out of Columbus. So I went with the black. Makes me look thin. And whenever I say 2 letters, the place goes crazy. O-H! Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie George. That offense, though, led by Justin Fields. He has 41 touchdowns accounted for, only 1 turnover. I don't know how he isn't the Heisman favorite right now.
Well, he certainly has a chance to make a stick at that today, certainly next week.
He's supposed to be a Penn State native Lion. And Mike McQueary told me I wasn't Penn State material.
Okay, Herbie was your quarterback. He was a senior. You were a freshman. What was he like as a teammate?
Oh, he was great, man. Big shoulder pads. Kurt could run for days back in the day.
Every single bone in my body. Stipe, how you doing, boss man? They're down 6-1. She wants to flex on the gram. He says, lady, we are getting slaughtered by the Pittsburgh Penguins. No.
Do I do a chair? I thought I need to do this.
808 on the beat.
Grinding every day and I did it my way. Black ball from the game, caught me catch the way. Waiting on my downfall, gotta stay ahead. Coaches cut me off, patience hanging by a thread. Gotta do my thing now, a lot of people watching. Ex-girl got mad and she cop locking. Now I pay my dues and had to take my time. Now it's business, making money from my rhymes. Back and forth to grinding, had to take my time. Call it perfect timing, running from my mind. Never gonna quit, cause they tryna stop my shine. Now I'm on the road and I stack up every dime. Old about a day, but I'm still in my prime.
Pat McAfee.
Do not talk about
Pat McAfee.
one fight at a time, fellas.
The Pat McAfee Show.
That's right.
Welcome back to said show here on SiriusXM Channel 82 Mad Dog Sports Radio. Joining us now is a man that is the current UFC heavyweight champion of the world. A lot of people say he's the greatest heavyweight to ever fight other humans. Ladies and gentlemen, Stipe Miocic! Yeah! What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
How are you, dude?
I'm fantastic. How was your New Year?
Hey, not too shabby. How was yours? Happy 2021, pal.
You as well. It was good. You know, I think I went to bed by 10:30, so it was a good night.
It is hard to make it to the midnight these days. You know, got to take the photos early so everybody thinks you're up. Post them the next day. Oh, New Year's was awesome. It was a blast.
It's all about the gram, dude.
Hey, Stipe, quick question for you. Whenever I say greatest heavyweight fighter of all time, that has to be a pretty cool little thing to have other people say about you, because I'm not the only one saying it, by the way. I did a little research on the internet. What do people say about Stipe? And that's what that has to feel like a pretty badass thing, that you could walk into any building, okay, and just beat the dog shit out of any human in there. That has to feel pretty cool.
I'm more of a lover than a fighter, you know. But honestly, yeah, I mean, it just means I'm doing something right. It means I'm doing, you know, what I've trained for, and it just, you know, but it's not just me. It's, you know, my coaches, my teammates, my wife, my family, my friends. Like, you know, it takes a village. You know, I have an amazing village behind me, and you know, everyone's invested, and I'm very lucky to have these people part of it.
How'd you get into that? You, like, when you were a kid, you just beat the hell out of people, and you're like, you know what, I should make this a living. Maybe I should.
I wish. You know, when my only fight, I think, real fight, when I was 11 years old, I got the shit kicked out of me. I was at the pool, and he didn't ice me or anything, but he just pieced me up. Like, I was crying. I was like, how dare you hit me?
Hey, that guy's still telling that story now, by the way.
I would be too. Yeah, so that I really don't like confrontation. You know, I try to stay away from it. And then I got done with college, and I wrestled and all that. And I was working in the gym, going back to become a firefighter paramedic. And the guy in the gym was like, hey, I got this guy I want to train with. He's fighting for, training for a fight, Dan the Bull Bovich. You know, he fought UFC in Pride and King of the Cage. And I said, sure, I'll help him. And then his head coach is like my best friend, Marcus. And, I just never left the gym. I just loved every second of it. Also, it kept me out of trouble. It was a funny thing to say. It did keep me out of trouble. I was never going out all the time, spending money I didn't have, saving my money. I'm very, I'm glad I found the sport. Not so much for, of course, winning and, doing well and taking care of my family, but also just keep me in the right path and make sure I was doing the right thing.
Now, when do you have to learn when do you learn you have a good chin? Because, for instance, Steve, I don't know if you've heard. It's kind of captivated the world. I'm the greatest Oculus boxer that they've ever seen, okay, in the Oculus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm knocking dudes out in this Oculus every single night, okay? I mean, I
love it.
Thank you, Stipe. But getting punched in the actual face, like, I don't know if that's something I'm going to sign up for. At what point did you realize, like, oh, I can also get punched in the face and still be – because I assume that's a rather big hurdle in the entire fighting world.
Yeah, it's a big hurdle. You know, if you don't have a good chin, that you might not go as far as you would like. I remember I was just wrestling and doing pad work, and my coach was like, "Hey, dude, you're gonna spar today." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna wrestle and do pad work." He's like, "No." He was testing me to see how I'd react, and I said, "No, I'm good." And then one guy, I was like, "I don't even have a mouth guard," and so one of the guys, he's 155 pounds, gave me one of his old mouth guards. It was like a little piece of rubber on my teeth, like I have a big mouth, so I was like, "Oh, this looks like it fits." So we had no headgear, we had these crappy gloves on, no shin pads, and so we're going at it. We're doing full MMA, and my hands are down, I mean, way down they usually are, and I'm throwing punches and hitting them to hit me, and I got hit with the left hook. I kind of saw it light. I'm like, oh, that was it. Oh, that's not that bad. So I started beating it out more. I was like, this is great. But then they realized I couldn't kick, and so they kicked the living crap on my leg. Like, it was literally black for like 3 weeks. I couldn't shit right for a week. It was so bad. But I loved it. Like, honestly, he just tested me, and I loved every second of it. I loved, I love, like, just it's like a puzzle to me. You know, it's just there's so many different aspects of the sport, and I just going on YouTube, watching other guys fight, trying to transition what they do to my capabilities, because, like, you know, it's just like kicking a field goal. Like, you can show me how to kick your field goal, but I might do it a different way. You know, you might do a soccer style, I might do a toe. I don't know. It's just
hey, as long as the ball goes through, who cares?
That's all that matters, right? Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, so that's what I loved about it. And I love the whole, it's just a puzzle, because, like, I love making guys do what they think they're going to do, but I'm actually making them do what they want, and they feel comfortable, and then that's when I catch them. Okay, so every single fight you have a complete different strategy, obviously. And then is your entire fight camp based around that strategy? At what point is that at the beginning, or is it always evolving? Like, for instance, your Cormier fight, obviously DC, hell of a champion, everything, a great fighter. I would assume you train for him much differently than your next fight against Johnny Bones Jones. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter who I'm fighting. I fight a guy, Struve, who's 7 foot, to Cormier, who's, like 6 foot, whatever, 6'1", I don't know how tall he is, or not even. So yeah, everything changes. It's always, it's not boxing. Like, I think with boxing, every guy is different, but also, guy has a tendency, and I think, but with MMA, there's so many different aspects. You got wrestling, you got takedowns, you got Muay Thai, you got, the guy's good jiu-jitsu, you got to be careful with this, but the guy's got a good right hand, and you got to stay away from that. So it's just always something. It's always changing. For me, I just kind of throw punches and hope for the best and hope one lands.
I snuck that in there in the question to see if you would address it, because there's a lot of conversation about who you're fighting next. I mean, that it is, whenever you're the champion, obviously, everybody wants to get to the top of the mountain, but the big dog's already up there, you know what I mean? So
yes, sir.
The Bones question is one that's kind of getting riled up. I believe Ariel is, Hiowani is pushing that one, and he's saying that, and then everybody else is saying, you got Ngannou too as well. Do you have any say in that, and when will they have to give you a heads up, right? At some point, they'd have to give you a heads up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to be fighting at the beginning of this year. I'll just throw it out there. I'm not going to tell you who, but I mean.
Though.
Maybe I do. I don't know.
Are you pumped about it?
Oh, yeah, I'm always excited. Yeah, I love it. I love what I do. The minute I'm not having fun, I'm out. That's the reason I love training. And, like it's individual, but I love going to the gym. It doesn't matter what happens outside the gym. When I go to the gym, it's like peace. And then I come out and I feel 100 times better. I feel like, even though I got to punch someone in the face or they punched me, no matter how good or bad of a day it is, I walk out, I'm like, I had a therapist to myself. I punched them in the face or they punched me. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I feel so much better about myself.
When's the fight? March?
It could be March or April or something like that. June, July. I don't know.
April. So it's in April. So we got Stipe's fighting in April. All right. We don't know who it's against, and I'm not going to get him any more shit, because I would like you to continue to come on this show, because whenever I met you in Columbus and then whenever we did the crowd surf, I remember telling the boys, I'm like, hey, this Stipe guy's super cool. And then one of our friends who's a UFC guy was like, oh, yeah, it's like the baddest dude on the planet, too. I was like, oh, whoa, Jesus. I'm happy I didn't piss the guy off. Stipe, how'd you become an Ohio guy? Were you born and raised in Ohio?
Born and raised in Cleveland. Yep.
That team stinks, Stipe. Hey, all these years, 18, not now.
Well, you just said it, this team stinks.
No,
I'm just saying.
For a long time, though, the dog pound has been so loyal. The fan base for the Browns, I talked about this. We played over there late in the season. Browns were already out. Cold as hell. Windy as hell. The place was packed. It was unbelievable. And the dog pound is just this rabid, loyal fan base. For so long, it has sucked. And then this year, we make the playoffs, and now everybody's got COVID. I mean, why is this? What's the deal with the dog pound, Rich?
I don't know, dude. It seems like the cards are always stacked against us. I feel like there's always something. Listen, we won 11 games this year, man. No one thought that at all. I was happy it would have been 8-8. Listen, let's get to 500 and baby steps. Let's work our way up, you know. But I'm okay with 11. I'm down for 11-5, you know. And I mean, it's just great to see. But of course, it's 2020. I mean, but now that I'm having fans, which is great, it's great to see. I went to 2 games this year. So it was nice to see. And
what was it? 12,000 people? 12,000 people there.
It was initially 6. I think it went up to about. I think it's 10 or 12 now, maybe a little more now.
It was loud, though. I remember because that was a Ravens game, right?
Ravens. Yeah, that was the game I went to. Yeah, I think it was definitely like 20,000 people. I'm not gonna lie. Me and my best friend were talking about it. I'm like, dude, there's way more than there should be in here. He's like, and someone actually said I think they pushed it up a little bit. So.
Have you fought in a crowdless environment? With the Cormier fight, I guess, right?
Yeah, that was awkward. Yeah, it was awkward.
Is it weird? Is it weird for you guys? Because a lot of players who are veteran players are talking about how, you know, the juice from the crowd does help. And then the younger players, I think they're still like they're kind of wrapped up in it maybe, you know what I mean? They still got, but the older players, you talk to them, it's like the fans, I feel like, have been a lot more of a juice effect for a lot of the older guys. Was it like that for you in the fight?
Not so much that. It's just like when I walked out, I'm like, usually I get that one guy like, hey, you fucking suck. you know what I mean? Like, you're going to get knocked out or something. You know, sorry if I keep swearing. But,
no, you're good, Steve. It's actually a lot better.
It's just weird because, like, you know, you usually get that one guy, or, you know, you're going to knocked out or whatever. And then just walk out. I'm like, okay, cool. Here we are. Sweet. You know, I get greased up. And then the fight happens. You know, I win the fight. And usually I'm like, the only time I really feed off the crowd is after the fight, you know, because they're cheering, and so I'm pumped because I won, and there was no fans, so I'm like, yay! My coach looked at me, he's like, "Are you happy?" I'm like, "I'm tired, dude. Like I have no energy right now." He's like, I get it. You know what I mean? So, you know, I was happy, I was joyful, but usually, it's like you said, the energy is usually for me after the fight because that's what gets me going. You know, I'm like, yeah, you know, like the fans are cheering, it's all like electricity going on, but it was just weird because there was nothing there.
Did you box? Were you ever just a boxer, or was it wrestling and then you got into fighting completely?
Well, I started wrestling, did MMA. I did like 5 amateur fights, and then I took a year and a half off and just did amateur boxing. Went to Golden Globe Nationals and all that good stuff. And then I just missed everything. I loved everything about it. I just loved puzzle.
How do you feel about like Jake Paul is fighting Ben Askren? Boxing seems to be getting quite. All right, I'll get to that in a second, but it seems like boxing is getting quite a surge because of the Paul brothers being interested in it almost. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I mean, they say social media is a motherfucker. But yeah, no, I mean, they're doing it right, but it's helping boxing, but also I think it's helping everything because like they're calling UFC fighters out too. All the guys are in Bellator guys, and I think don't bite off more than you can chew. I mean, yeah, he might be a tough guy, but like I don't care if the guy might not be, but the guy's been like Askren's been in some scraps. That dude's been. He's been around, like, fighting and wrestling and all that, dude. That's just like that. Like when I tell people, like, you get into a fight on the streets, look at the dude's ears first. If the dude's ears are cauliflowers, walk away.
Yeah,
I would walk away. I train. You know what I mean? I'm gonna call it a day. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna wrap it up. Good job, everybody. You know what I'm saying? But like, you just, I don't know. Just I wish them the best. I understand why they're doing it. It's all about the money, but at the same time, like I said, don't bite off more than you can chew.
Will you be like doing any boxing exhibitions, you think, when you're like 50 or 55, 60 maybe?
Hey, they pay me the right money, dude. I'll do whatever.
What do you got?
Steve, are you still a firefighter?
I am. I worked this past weekend.
Do you ever show up on the scene And like they're like, hey, some guy's being a little ornery over there. Stipe, will you go take care of him?
Just fucking.
Yeah, actually, I'm that guy that wears the belt everywhere on every call.
Nice. Yeah. Well,
no, around my waist.
Oh, you okay? Yeah, smart.
Yeah,
Because you don't want to get the hose.
No, I don't do that. But no, I had one time actually. I had one guy. He was pulled over and he's getting arrested, but he said he had whatever, he had medical problems. So. And he just didn't want to go to jail. And the cop's like, hey, you want his shoes on? I'm like, that's fine. If you try to run, I'm going to catch him anyway. And the guy looked at me like terrified. Like I might have said a little bit meaner. And the cop just started laughing and walked away, because like the guy's like, yeah, I'm gonna chill out here. And I actually had another kid too. He's like, I'm a fighter. I'm like, cool, dude, good for you. And he's like, can I have withdrawals? I just, I want to get crazy. I'm like, I wouldn't do that. It's cool, man. I'll just relax. And then he's like, no, I'm going to go crazy. And my partner was like, hey, do you watch UFC? He's like, oh, I'm trying to get UFC. He's like, oh, that's funny you say that because that guy fights in the heavyweight division in the UFC. And then he was my best friend. It was great.
Well, I better calm down here. Yeah. I have trained a little bit, and I do wear Affliction jeans, but I am not sure I can take on the guy. What do you got, Ty?
Stipe, you've obviously been around and been like a lot of like big time scraps. Are there any guys that like still surprise you with their punching power? Like if they catch you, you're like, oh shit, I wasn't really expecting that.
I think every heavyweight. It sucks because they're all big guys, So you got 4-ounce gloves, these little tiny gloves, and it just takes one. I don't care who you are, just one little shot. When you're not like DC, he hits hard. I give him credit. I know Francis fights, hits harder. I fought guys that harder than DC, but DC called me right in a button, and he put me out and slammed my head against the canvas a couple times to make sure I was out.
Hey, you guys are like animals in there because I assume this is how you're taught, like until the ref calls you off or whatever. But somebody will be visually dead, okay? Optically dead. Punched in the mouth, whole body locks up. Everybody watching at home goes, oh, that motherfucker's dead. And then they fall. And then you guys, while they're falling, you're trying to get in 3, 4 more while they're going down. Why is that? Is that because you want to make sure it's a certainty, or is it because there's like a switch that is kind of flipped in there?
They'll do both. You want to make sure it's over because you work so hard. You want to make sure the guy doesn't get back up. You're like, how the hell does this guy just get back up? And also, it instinctual. I think it's just a habit. I think it's just you've trained to finish a guy. If you can get the finish. So, and there's a ref there to protect him, so it's not your fault.
I'm gonna let you know, in my Oculus boxing, you know what I mean? I'm 13 bodies, by the way. Painting canvases in the Oculus boxing. There's a couple times where I've been so tired, and I look up at the clock and there's 2 minutes left. I'm like, well, I'm gonna try to finish this guy, or I'm gonna get knocked out right now. And I feel so good about it. Is there ever those moments in your real, actual things where your body is so tired, you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go for this right now?
Oh, yeah. I think every fight. I think I think a lot of guys, how to explain it? I think mentality-wise, you just kind of got to push through it and you figure a way. And, sometimes you don't get the finish. You just got to keep grinding, man. It's all about the grind and just making sure you get the win no matter what. But I don't like to stop. I like to keep going. I try to throw as many punches as I can, trying to move and for heavyweight, I think I move more than most heavyweights. And, I throw a lot more punches than a lot of those heavyweights, and I think that what puts me apart.
Stipe, your nickname is the Silencer. Now that it's established as you're the greatest, has there been any thought to change it to Stipe the Greatest Miocic?
Not a bad idea.
I tried that in my household. My wife told me to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but outside the house.
No, I just, listen, my name's hard enough to say anyway, so I'm just going to keep it Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, I thought it was Miocic before this morning. It's Miocic.
Oh, sorry. Listen, I get called worse, so don't even worry about it.
What is the origin of Miocic? Croatia.
Yeah, I'm Croatian, yep.
You ever been there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, a couple times. Love it. Beautiful. Unfortunately, I had an earthquake here about a week and a half ago, right before the New Year, but, they're doing better now.
Where is it? That's over there in...
by Italy, right across the Adriatic Sea.
Yeah, it's right on the coast.
You're near Italy, Donna? Mm-hmm. Hey, those Italians are always cooking shit up over there. You know what I mean?
So Croatians, dude.
Hey, Stipe, we appreciate you so much, man. Good luck in your fight in April against...
Oh, I don't know. Is it April?
Yeah, you told us earlier.
I said March, April, June, July.
Yeah, it was kind of like a slow and then sell. I'm a pretty good card player. I can't fight, but who are you fighting?
Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm terrible at that stuff.
All right, well, good luck in your fight in April.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate it if I'm fighting in April, but if you are, I'm going to start playing cards with you then.
No, so it's July, maybe June. Ooh. When is it? Stipe, are you in fight camp yet, or are you always ready?
Listen, I'm always ready, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, UFC heavyweight champion Stipe, the silencer, Miocic.
Oh,
Thank you, sir. He's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
They're so cool because they know they can beat the shit out of everybody. There's really nothing anybody can do to them that, they relax, dude. That's literally his reaction, I assume, to any situation that's potentially about to pop off. Relax, dude.
Which is wild, too, because he said he's, like, so non-confrontational that, you'd think some of those guys would be, like, at any moment's notice, if someone's, like, giving him a reason, kind of, it's like, all right, well, I could just make an example of this guy real quick.
Well, and I think... I don't know. That's why Conor fighting that old dude was such a weird thing, because all those fighters, I feel like they are very much so like...
I'll kill this guy.
Yeah, and also I get paid to do this. I'm not going to just knock out some drunk bum here. Like, that's not going to happen. Somebody needs to inform this. Somebody needs to show this person a video on YouTube of what I've done to people and then have him walk the other way. Like that. I feel like that's probably the thought of it. But anytime you get drunk, I assume there's a chance that something could pop off.
Brown's got to call him and put him at DN this weekend.
Fucking put him out there. Coach, call plays.
Come on.
Let's Stipe. He says it's a puzzle putting that thing together.
Put him in.
It's football, dude. Just fucking run, throw. What did Stefanski said? Stefanski said, all I do is look down at a card, point, and read. Alex Van Pelt can do that better than me.
Correct.
Stefanski undersold why he's getting paid any money, but we appreciate him for being humble as hell. That Brown situation, no more positive, so the game seems to be on as planned. Sunday Night Football, Steelers, Browns in an AFC wildcard matchup during Super Wildcard Weekend.
Yes.
Can't wait to hear it. Let's take some phone calls, shall we? Let's go to Danny in Cincinnati. What's going on, Danny?
Hey, Pat and the boys, how you doing?
Not too shabby, Danny. What do you want to talk about, pal?
Hey, first of all, I just want to thank you on behalf of everybody here in Cincinnati on standing up to the Brown family. Basically been holding the city hostage for 30 years or something. It's outrageous.
Congrats
also,
to me.
quick shout out.
Way to go to me.
Greatest
Fortunate
Bengals punter of all time, Kevin Huber, who doesn't get enough love. Two-time All-American in college, Cincinnati through and through.
I love Kevin Huber. Kevin Huber, good friend of mine. He has been in the studio, actually. Something just popped there. I don't know if it's me or you there. I love Kevin Huber, though. Lefty, drafted same class as me. He was drafted 3 rounds ahead of me. He was. He'd been punting since, like, junior high, by the way. He's very, very good. Very, very good. And I kind of made a mockery out of punting in college whenever we punted against him, because I just punted on the ground and let it roll the whole time. But we always had great pregame conversations, so I think he kind of respected me. He was the guy, by the way, that I was referring to out of the 3 people that were down there for the Ray Guy Award that probably should have been down there.
Yeah.
And I was not down there. Thomas Morstead also probably should have been down there, but he was not. Out of the 3 that were down there, I should have won, but we were not the 3 that should have been there. And I very much understood that. So I think that is a good little self-awareness situation. Shout out to Kevin Huber, though. Let's go to David in New York. Shout out to New York, by the way, potentially getting sports gambling, but not through the sports books, through lotteries, so that the state of New York can make the money, says Governor Cuomo today, because there was supposed to be a big announcement about sports gambling potentially getting legalized in New York. And it was big news, obviously. We would all be very pumped to get our people in Buffalo able to play alongside us on FanDuel. That would have been awesome. But Governor Cuomo did address sports gambling, legalizing it, but not with the sports books. We're talking about with the lottery.
Right.
We'll do this with the lottery so the state can make the money. Which, by the way, do what you got to do. I'd assume the sports books have it figured out. I'll be excited to see how the scratch-off team can figure out how to kind of do lines and everything like that. It should be great.
Yeah,
it should be great. Really good idea. Really good idea. David, what do you want to talk about, pal?
So, first of all, I want to wish a happy birthday to the chin, Mr. AJ Hawk.
Oh, very nice of you. Very, very nice. You're a hero.
And then also, I'm a New York City kid, so I just go to Jersey to bet on FanDuel because that's the best app out there.
Hey, David, we used to do the same thing. We'd land in New Jersey, and then as we were driving to New York, we'd be trying to get all our bets in as fast as possible. And then once you get in New York, it's just, nope, can't do anything. Don't even look at the fucking app.
I just go across the bridge, place my bet, drive back.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. What do you want to talk about, David?
So when you go into the playoffs, like especially as a punter, where a lot of your game is between the ears, like, do you have to focus on a different mentality, or just focus it on it being any other game? And how does that change for you?
Great question, David. Justin Tucker said this the other day. Whenever I asked him how he feels about maybe getting his bike back against the Titans, and I was excited to hear his answer because I believe he's just trying to kick the ball through the uprights. It didn't matter who we played. I was just trying to bomb balls, dude. I was just trying to set them back, whoever they were, and hopefully not fuck it up. Whenever we went and played the Patriots in the playoffs. I forget which year it was.
The Deflategate game?
Yeah, it might have been Deflategate game. Yeah. Deflategate game, there was a storm right before the game started.
Yep.
Massive, like blizzard, and then it stopped completely whenever the game started, which continued to the fodder that they control the elements up there.
They might.
But I thought it was going to be the windiest game of my life. And then as soon as the game started, it was like almost like Southern California. It was unbelievable. So for me, every game, the playoff game, I'm showing up at the stadium, I'm going out, and I'm just praying to God that the wind is either going front to back or no wind at all, as opposed to going across the field. And then as soon as I figured that out, then I was like, all right, here we go. There's also wind tunnels in every stadium where if you find where the jet stream is, you can get it up in there and the ball can go a little bit, which is a nice thing to kind of figure out in that pre-warm-up whenever Aaron hates going out there, because it is like a meet and greet with all the quarterbacks. So I'm just trying to find the air up top and then trying to get it up there. And whenever you find one, it's like, oh, all right, I'm going to hit this only a couple times so nobody else can see this. But there it is. Hey, Tom McMahon, whenever we're here, I got to fucking put that thing right up there. So let's do that. Yeah, you whatever the fuck you want to do.
You ever just tell the other punter, like, hey, the jet stream's going left to right today? When it's just the complete opposite?
No, because you're not trying to ruin them or whatever. Every once in a while, if the person was nice, they would just give me some tips, hey, coming off here, it's going to be a little tough. And I would do that whenever we would have our window open, our roof up, and I'm like, hey, it's going to swirl. So what you're feeling right now is not like a real thing.
Nice.
Just trying to look out or whatever. I guess there has been some situations in the past amongst kickers where there was not much honor amongst the ball kickers.
So I figured.
Yeah, there's a little bit of lies.
Really?
Yeah, I guess.
Hey, anything to win.
Not to me. I mean, nobody did it to me. And I didn't do it to anybody. Nobody really tried to talk to me, though.
Nice of you.
Yeah. The returners weren't really asking what the wind was like. Yeah, true. That's what I was talking.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
Hey, it's a little breezy up here, Brett. Look, imagine Pac-Man being like, hey, every time opponent puts a ball up there, it seems to come down this way. Probably shouldn't do that. Pac-Man was like, I'm going to take one back on you today. And I'm like, no, you are not. I'm going to take one back on you today. Pac, why you got to do that? I tackled him one time. It was maybe my favorite moment because of the amount of conversations we had before the games. With Pac-Man was one of the most electric people of all time.
Get up pissed.
Huh?
If you're tackling him, does he just get up?
Oh, yeah, he was not happy
because he's about to score. I assume,
no,
too.
I was in. I went and got in. Yeah, and I almost punched the ball out too. I had my hand on the ball. I mean, it was because it was Pac though. I went. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Could have got decleated. Could have got headhunted, but I went down in there. Yeah, there was also a time where, it might not have been Pac. Now I think about it. I think it was Jacoby Jones, he was awesome for the Houston Texans. Then he went to the Baltimore Ravens and won a Super Bowl and everything up there. Yeah. He was the one I tackled like that, not Pac. I don't think I ever got Pac, thank God. I made him, he got tackled. He never made it to me. Pac-Man was unbelievable. But Jacoby Jones, he was returning a kickoff. I went down in there and I was like, I had him wrapped up and I had my hand on the ball. It was at like the 20, I think. And I remember us potentially both having a conversation. Why was I down there? And I don't know why I was. I don't remember.
Get that ball.
Try to make a play.
I don't remember why I was that far down the field. Should not have been there. There's a couple areas where a kicker punter should not be. And it's like the 15 to 20 yards in between where you should be and the front wave. If you're in there, that is what we like to call a kill zone, because there is just people coming back and crack back. There's just so many blocks happening. And you've seen a couple punters get caught in that world, and then their heads just leave their entire bodies.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get mocked. Like, look at the kicker going there. It's like, well, he literally just took a truck to the jaw right there. Shouldn't have been there, but he just took a truck.
So you and Tomlin potentially in places you shouldn't have been covering Jacoby Jones kicks.
Yeah, well, Tomlin, the thing about Tomlin is he tripped him. You know what I mean?
He did.
Well,
and by the way,
try to get out of the way.
Came on the field.
Hey, Nick's mic is muted back there. He's yelling about it. But the thing about it is,
there was no physical contact.
I love it. Hey, listen, I love it.
Gamesmanship.
Like I love Tomlin doing that. I know a lot of people probably didn't, but I'm one of the people that's like, if your coach is going to potentially affect a kickoff return to the house, and he's not going to get a penalty or ejected or fined, I mean, let it happen.
Hell of a coach.
Joe Flacco said something during the Super Bowl. It was a punt. They had a punt after a safety because they took a slow safety. Sam Cook punted it. Joe Flacco's mic'd up and says, this guy's going down the sideline. I'm going to go out and triple him. Something along those lines, mic'd up. And it's like, because it was the end of the game, last play. It was like, I'm going to go out there. What are they going to do? They're just going to give him a touchdown. We're going to lose? That would be, imagine if that would happen. All hell would break loose. Somebody on the sideline trips a punt returner. It could have been a touchdown to win the Super Bowl. Oh, it would have been awesome. Hour 2's on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Well, hello, sensual piano keys. You sound incredibly inspirational and motivational. Big announcement coming from our company. You know, throughout my entire life, I've made decisions that people have said, ooh, that is stupid. You've read about them. You heard about them. When I was in high school, I went to an underground poker game, won $1,400, flew myself down to Miami, won a kicking contest, and got a scholarship to West Virginia the next day. I turned my back on soccer that day. Everybody said, you're an idiot. Why are you doing that? You have more schools looking at you for soccer than you do for football. What are you thinking? Fast forward 8 years with the Indianapolis Colts, and I was on top of the world, top of the mountain. How's the view? Not too shabby. And when I was at the top of my game, I decided, you know what? I'm going to pursue some other stuff. My friends and I are going to go to work on the internet. We're going to try to chase fulfillment as opposed to just a paycheck. And there were some interesting responses from people of power in the sporting world.
Make them tear the uniform off of you.
Sure.
Look, somebody needs to stage an intervention. People who know this guy, get to him now. Make him put his helmet back on and get to camp.
Oh no, there's no intervention, Wilbon. No. Here we are 3 years after that date, and it's a celebration, bitches! Cut the music! Let's hand out some bags to the boys. For the boys. For the boys. By the way, that's for you, brother.
Oh my God.
Are you home? All right, come out the front door.
What's up, dude?
What is this?
What's this?
Oh, you son of a bitch.
What the fuck? Fuck you. Oh, yeah. That is the bag of money.
FanDuel deal went through. There's $50,000 in there for you. Here's a backpack with $50,000 in it. Well, $50,000 in there.
Oh my God.
Yes, there's $50,000 in there. Yes, there's $50,000 in there.
Are you fucking serious?
Let's go.
Rub it back.
Oh, man. Let's go, dude.
Let's go. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yo, this is...
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, dude.
We did it?
Couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, thank
Dude, it's a fuck ton of money.
you. You guys.
When I asked Dan Patrick for some advice, he told me always take care of the boys.
Well, and you should know those people that are there with you, that their value cannot be overstated and should not be overstated.
So, Mike Wilbon, they didn't hold my jersey on me. They didn't hold my helmet on me. We didn't have an intervention. What we have is a celebration. Because when you bet on yourself, sometimes you hit for big. And for us, the only place we'll bet for the next couple years in an exclusive deal, FanDuel backed the Brinks truck up to our office, and we have never been more thankful, more excited, and more together as we promote the greatest sports book on planet Earth.
Couple people, one college kid, took a shot at my swag.
We know. We don't like that kid.
I don't think a lot of people understand what swag is. You know, some of this younger generation thinks, you know, swag is just like the clothes I wear or whatever. No. The swag is a mentality.
Yeah.
Swag is a mindset. I tried to tell this to some of the guys in the locker room this week. I said swagger, which is what swag comes from. Swagger is a mindset. Swagger isn't that you have a Supreme backpack on. Or that you have your shoes, you know, unlaced walking around with, you know, you got your new Louis fanny pack that you make sure it's not worn at your waist, it's worn over your shoulder. That's not swag. That's not swagger. That's fashion choices. True swag is owning your inner essence. It's a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And my essence on the field is that I feel like I'm a throwback player and I'm a tough guy. What I've played through, how I wear my stuff, you know, I'm kind of a no-nonsense straightforward. To me, that's what swag is all about.
You're damn
all
right.
this like fake swag out there. I got my special towel. I got this. I got that. I got this writing out there. A lot of you guys are just posing.
All right.
The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Speaking his mind
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
while being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, January 6, 2021, years after zero. Hour 2 on this dumbass show begins right now. Shout out to Twine for that beat drop. In the first hour, we talked to Stipe Miocic, who is the greatest heavyweight to ever fight in the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
A firefighter in Ohio, Croatian man who throws bombs. He is fighting sometime soon, and he knows who he's fighting. I do not want to prod or pry too hard because of what I said there at the beginning of the sentence. He is the baddest dude walking this planet if he wants to be.
Well, and he did tell you he is fighting sometime this year in the next couple months. I don't even think that was confirmed yet, so he gave you a little something.
He did. He's very nice of him. Hopefully he'll come on again closer to fight time, or maybe not, maybe after the fight, whatever it happens. Had a great conversation with him. He was talking about, Cleveland Browns, which is a team that he's been a fan of because he's born and raised in Ohio. Cleveland Browns still having a couple players out this weekend against Pittsburgh Steelers, but no more positive cases, which is good news. That means they stopped the outbreak.
Nice.
Right.
Stop the spread.
They stopped the spread. There was a spread happening. They stopped the spread. So that means I believe the Browns are allowed to go in there and practice, I assume. They're allowed to go in and do their meetings. And if there's no more positive, the game will go on without a hitch on Sunday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. There was a ratings that just came out on all the quarterbacks in the NFL that are currently in the playoffs. And I'll tell you what, we will talk about it at some point. There's some hilarious ratings going on about the quarter. Ben Roethlisberger's damn near last place of all the quarterbacks in the NFL. People think Ben Roethlisberger just absolutely stinks. What's that all? But they got Goff ranked ahead of him. Goff isn't even playing.
Doesn't have a thumb.
It does not have a thumb. So we'll talk about that in this hour, maybe the next hour. But a man that's going to be joining us very soon from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is one of the most electric humans of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, you can hear him every day on WXDX 1059 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Former WCW commentator and knower of all things. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Madden. What's going on, man?
Pat, I bet Ben feels like Blutarski in Animal House. He's ranked 0.0. I saw those rankings. I never heard of the guy who did them, which is the case with a lot of rankings we see in sports. But he was ranked, 12th out of 14. Baker Mayfield's ranked 9th. I give Baker Mayfield some credit. He's a complimentary quarterback. Their running game is the main part of the offense. But I would have to give the Steelers a clear-cut edge Sunday night at the quarterback position, as reluctant as this rube who did this list appears to be to do so.
Also, they got Goff above him. Goff doesn't even have a thumb. He's a 9-fingered man right now. They got him above Ben Roethlisberger. Let's talk about the game this weekend. They were talking about potentially, if the Cleveland Browns couldn't stop the outbreak, which they did, maybe the game having to be moved because it was such a game of importance and everything like that. The Browns will be without their head coach, their play caller, Pro Bowler offensive lineman, I believe a wide receiver, some other coaches and everything like that. How do you think this game will fare? And do you think the Cleveland Browns maybe deserve a day or two to get their entire roster back and all their coaches back. Is that not something that they've earned after 18 years of failure? They finally make the playoffs, and then now they're losing it. Don't you think they deserve to have a full roster to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs, Mark?
Well, Pat, first off, I really appreciate that elaborate setup to get me to go off. And all the Browns deserve is one and done. That's one done. Yeah. That's all they deserve. They're lucky to be in the league. They weren't even man enough in Cleveland to hold on to their original franchise. And when it ran off to Baltimore, it started winning Super Bowls. And had that team, the Ravens, with those great players, Ray Lewis, had they stayed in Cleveland, you know how many Super Bowls they would have won there? 0.0. So the Cleveland Browns deserve nothing except, like I said, one and done, a second straight playoff exit at the hands of the Steelers, dating back to 2003. And seriously, it's a shame that COVID struck, but it's, a global pandemic. It can't be controlled. There are no deals to be made with it. So whatever happens, and you play with what you got, and whoever coaches. Now, they have a hardcore homophobe as their acting head coach. This Pfeiffer guy, whatever his name is. Remember his quote when Clue retired, the punter?
No.
You don't remember that?
Oh my God, he was with the Vikings. That is.
Yeah, he said that he wanted all the gays on an island, then nuke it till it glows. Now, in cancel culture, how the frig is that guy not canceled? How is he head coach on an NFL sideline on national network?
Is that what was said?
Night?
Hold on,
What do you put as the graphic when you put him on camera? Once all the gays dead.
That happened?
Yes, absolutely. He apologized for it. He acknowledged it.
Well, then I don't know how that is currently happening.
Jeez.
And that is a little piece of information I think that people probably forgot about. And I don't remember that happening, which is wild because it was in the special teams world.
Oh, Pat, I source everything. You know that.
Yeah, you are. You have a tested IQ of 160.
Well, yeah, but that I have people do for me.
Oh, that's smart. How do you think?
So do you. Look at your minions there. I mean, they're great guys, but they're minions.
Not all of them. There's definitely a couple minions in there for sure. Not all of them. Hey, we got a minion in the back, Mitt.
Yeah.
Dude's becoming an editor extraordinaire, by the way. Thanks for the setup to shout out Mitt.
Yeah.
Mitt's becoming
baby Mitt.
That boy Mitt.
Hopefully Peyton's place
Oh,
doesn't
let's
steal.
not take the focus away from me. My time is valuable.
But you tried to. You tried to right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
the
what
Steelers are going to win. I mean, Pat, you got to pick the Steelers, right?
Yeah,
Especially with Batonio out, with Olivier Vernon out, with the head coach not there. I mean, everything points at the Steelers to win this game, which is usually when things don't go well for Pittsburgh, quite honestly. And it's not too early to consider the fallout if the Steelers would win it. If they lose. If they lose 5 of their last 6 and are one and done in the playoffs, it would be time for major change here in Pittsburgh, but there won't be major change here in Pittsburgh. It is such a catch-22. I've always said, and Pat, you've listened to my show for years, whenever you talk about the Steelers, you don't talk about what they should do. You talk about what they will do, because those are often two very different things. Case in point, they used that Dobbs package against the Browns this past Sunday on short yardage. Josh Dobbs comes in. It worked very well. And now you're playing the same team. You've been terrible at short yardage all year. They should dress Josh Dobbs, have 3 quarterbacks active, scratch a special teamer, and use that package. They won't. They're just not going to, because King Benny won't want to do it, and it's just not like them to do something like that in a situation like this. And I'm not saying Ben shouldn't have that decision-making power, but I know that decision is going to be made.
Mark, do you not think, though, a couple things, that in Pittsburgh you kind of spoiled with how good the teams have been? Because you just said what they should do and what they will do, two often very different things.
Oh, no, that's not even an insult necessarily. You just have to know how to read the room with the Pittsburgh Steelers. More often than not, I mean, much more often than not, they make the right decision, but they should use the Dobbs short yardage package. Another case in point. Kevin Dotson, the rookie out of Louisiana, the guard, he's been their best offensive lineman this year, which is like being the smartest guy in prison, because that line stinks. If Matt Filer comes off IR, I bet he starts at left guard, even though Dotson's been their best performer, especially recently. because that's just how the Steelers do things. Veteran respect.
All right, so you think the Steelers are going to win, but if not, your show on Monday is going to be must listen, you're thinking?
Oh, it's always must listen. Who we kidding?
True. I can't.
Who do you think is going to win, Pat?
By the
Who
way,
do your stooges and sellouts there think is going to win?
well, here's Tone Diggs, diehard Steelers fan.
Mark, you don't have to dress 3 quarterbacks. Just sit Mason and dress Dobbs. It doesn't make a difference. Dobbs is just as good as Mason if you're going to have the package in there. Don't waste
Dobbs isn't as good as Mason.
Mason
just for that
stinks,
package he is. I thought Mason played a pretty good game against Cleveland this past Sunday. And again, mystifying, Mason threw the ball down the field, and I sit here wondering if Ben is going to. I think the Steelers' offense might retreat to the security blanket of that dink, 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 and just throw 2 yards at a time. But I hope Ben throws it downfield because against Indy, he proved he still can.
Yeah, he had 2 great balls there, Deontay, and then off Juju down the middle there, the whole thing. And that's why.
And a bunch of PIs, too.
Yeah, Chase Claypool has been racking those up this year, by the way. But the thing for me is I wouldn't have rested them immediately. I would have had them have a couple of possessions, and then pulled them out of the game, maybe. I don't know. I mean, we'll see if it works out. Nobody will judge anyways.
Pat, I see your point. Because it would have been good to carry forward some momentum from that Indy game because they hadn't played well in over a month until that second half.
Bingo.
But if a guy gets hurt,
yeah, you're right.
If a starter gets hurt, then there's really hell to pay, and it could happen.
Yeah, I think so too. In the boys, they wanted to know, Mark, favorite person you ever interviewed in your entire
Of course, you.
No. Aside from me, but in your illustrious career, what is your favorite show you've ever had then?
My best interview ever, he came into studio because his band was appearing in town, was, believe it or not, John Lydon, a.k.a. Johnny Rotten, the singer from the Sex Pistols.
Oh, nice.
His band since then has been Public Image Limited. They're active on and off, more than not. And he was in town. He came to the studio. He was supposed to stay for 5 minutes. He stayed for 40.
Nice.
We were talking about English soccer, talking about all these old stories, because I'm a big fan and I had read both his books. It was just marvelous. There has never been better radio done by me. Now, on a consistent level, Jack Ham and I used to do a weekly show back at my old station, 1250. You know, the one that fired me, that went out of business less than a year later. And that was the best football talk I've ever done. I do great stuff with Craig Wolfley now, but the stuff with Jack Ham back then was incomparable.
Hey, you're a big hockey guy. Obviously, Pittsburgh, big hockey town. You cover the Penguins. You always have. I think you are the authority on the Penguins in Pittsburgh, actually. I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, agreed. Love hockey. The United States junior team won the gold over Canada last night.
Yeah.
Woo! Then they rolled a barrel out there with the Canada flag on it and posted for a picture. And a lot of hockey purists are not happy with the way they disrespected the founders of the game.
Yeah, well, the founders of the game didn't score a friggin' goal in 60 minutes in a gold medal game. Okay? That barrel was as empty as the net behind the United States goal. That was a thing the U.S. team did. They likened it to a guy in the Sahara Desert who couldn't see the end, but he could see one barrel off in the distance, and they just took it a barrel at a time.
Oh.
And that's not disrespectful at all. That's just paying tribute to the process that the coach implemented. So if Canada doesn't like that, score a goal. Win. That's the thing about Canada. Canada can never just lose. There's always an excuse, or they were wronged in some way. Pat, do I have time to talk about one of the biggest lies in sports history?
You got nothing but time, pal. Now, we have a lot of Canadian listeners, though. I
know, and I want them to listen up really close. In 1972, the first time the Soviets and the NHL guys played, Canada versus the Soviet Union, Canada was supposed to win every game. They were predicted to win 8 straight by everybody. But they won 4 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. And they rallied, and they had to win their last 3 on Moscow, which is a tremendous achievement. Paul Henderson scored with under a minute left to win the 8th game and win the series for Canada. But in game 7, or maybe it was game 6, I forget which, Bobby Clark, by his own admission, intentionally broke the ankle of the Soviets' best player because he was killing him. Valery Kharlamov broke his ankle intentionally. So that win was fruit from a poison tree, and yet they celebrate it like it's VJ Day, nonstop since 1972.
Tanya Harding?
8 straight. They broke a guy's ankle to win. When they were going off the ice after they won, the coaches and trainer flipped the crowd off in Moscow, but this is something they're proud of. Okay, they should be proud that they rallied to win the series, but they should also put it in the context of what was supposed to happen and what they had to do to win it.
This one has made you really pissed for a long time, huh?
Well, no. You know when it started to piss me off? When people would compare 1980, what the U.S. team did in Lake Placid, to 1972, because there's no comparison. 1980, Herb Brooks, college kids, Soviet pros, by far and away the bigger accomplishment.
Amen, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Madden.
But when you base your whole self-esteem on hockey, stuff like last night really does sting. I understand that. And Pat, can I ask a favor before I go?
One last burial of Canada? Yeah, for sure.
No, just a favor from you. You have obviously usurped my career in radio. You've gone further. You've usurped my career in wrestling. You've gone further. You've taken everything I had. Everybody knows that.
No.
I would rather you do it, though, than some other schmuck, so more power to you. But the way you can pay me back to some small degree, I want all your Twitter followers to follow me.
Okay. Okay.
At Mark Madden X. And not that I think Twitter matters, but Pat, I'm coming into contract negotiations. My contract's up here in August. And what if they say to me, well, you know, this McAfee kid, I mean, maybe we could simulcast his show here. Maybe we need to pay you a lot less. So I need the Twitter followers to boost my negotiation skills back up. At Mark Madden X. That's not too much to ask, is it?
No, not too much to ask. And don't you worry about that particular station airing our fucking show, because that is never going to stop. So your channel won't be able to do it. You are the king of FCC radio. I don't think anybody would ever doubt that, ever.
No.
There's no... Your station knows that, Mark.
But Pat, I have an agent, and what if he turns out to be a stooge and a sellout?
True. We need to get you all those followers, because that is directly how you leverage contract negotiations, is strictly off the number that's next to your followers thing on Twitter, for sure. That'll work.
Well, at Mark Madden X, let me just wrap up by saying Henderson has scored for Canada.
Mark Madden. I mean, what a buzzsaw, dude.
Nuclear weapon.
I should not have done the activities I did moments before him coming on there. You know what I mean? I knew better. I knew better. Why did I do that out there?
Yeah.
You saw me doing it out there.
I did.
And Ty did as well, by the way. Ty was awfully quiet during that conversation.
No.
Yeah.
Come on.
Jeez Louise, dude.
Good Lord.
I think the Browns deserve a little bit, man. I'm going to let you know that.
Push the game back 2 days.
Huh?
Push the game back 2-3 days.
Yeah, maybe 4 days.
You're going to push the weekend after back too?
Yeah, just...
We have to.
We
have to.
They're missing one player. So are the Steelers.
Hey, coach.
Dude, whenever I was running on that thing to build it up there, that how the Browns deserve better, I was so excited just to listen to him go. I thought he was going to bury me a little bit harder, you know what I mean, instead of the big setup there for me to overreact or whatever. But I thought he was going to bring the hammer down on me. I was pumped for it. He's out of control in there.
Yeah, he did bring the hammer down, but not on you.
Oh, fucking
scumbag coach for the Browns.
Bro, I completely forgot that happened. I remember, because obviously I followed Cluey's career because he had a lot of Twitter followers. So I was like, he and I, very different individuals. We go about things different. But I enjoyed the fact that another punter was doing things. I remember that there was, I think I was either on vacation. I was out. I don't know. Maybe was it middle of the season? I forget how. I didn't get caught up in it all until afterwards. Whenever I heard that there was a beef and drama, I didn't know exactly what led to it. I did not know what he said. That is can't happen. Can't have it. Obviously. But man, that was and then Canada got it.
And then, of course, rightfully so.
And then, well, I mean, I guess so.
Yeah, put the puck in the net if you don't want to be mad.
Well, how about the Tanya Harding story that never gets?
True.
I didn't know that happened.
I mean, that's wild. Gumpy, what's going on?
Gumpy, that's Canada.
That was supposed to be the greatest Canada juniors team of all time last night.
Oh yeah, that means we got gold medals coming every 4 years.
Time turning. Hell yeah!
They say that every year about Canada. The other thing to know about Bobby Clark, noted Philadelphia Flyers captain and scumbag.
All right.
Bob Clark.
That was the guy that broke the ankle?
Yeah.
Was he a part of the where was the name of the Flyers back in the day? They had like
The Broad Street Bullies.
He was a Broad Street Bully.
He broke an ankle.
He was the embodiment of it.
Yeah.
He was the reason they won the cup.
So he's probably loved in Philly then.
What a crook.
When was the last time Philadelphia won the Stanley Cup?
1975-76, I believe.
Oh, that's tough.
What losers?
That's tough, Philly. Let's go to Cody in Wisconsin. What's going on, Cody?
The Blue 3-0 lead.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Big hockey show. That's Hockey Talk. What do you want to talk about, pal?
Hey, a couple things here.
2 days left of my quarantine to survive COVID. So
hey, let's go.
You got
Diggs could do it. The COVID cowboy Diggs could do it. Cody, you could do it too.
I watched Three Ninjas last night. Thanks to you guys. Great film. Great film. Love it. The bigger question is, I'm in Wisconsin, but I'm a 49ers fan. And what are your thoughts about Garoppolo reuniting in New England with Bill?
I think Connor would enjoy that. I do believe Patriots fans would probably like that because Jimmy had a lot of success whenever he was in New England. And then immediately upon his departure from New England, he had a lot of success as well. And I think that was when New England Patriots fans were paying the closest attention to Jimmy G is immediately after he left. Because remember, he goes to San Fran, whatever trade deadline. Then he started the rest of the season undefeated. They went from completely defeated to undefeated. He was the conversation of everybody. Then that next season gets hurt, whatever, week 3 or week 4. It kind of falls off. Then he goes to Super Bowl. Then this year is the way it is. There's not really a lot of focus, I assume, from Patriots fans on Jimmy G. So I think Jimmy G is a very popular person in the New England Patriot fan base.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I would love to have Jimmy G back, but
is he going to be the guy?
Well, exactly. Like, would he want to come back after being slighted? And also, he better not be expecting Cam Newton money because we're not giving him some sort of massive contract.
You're talking 2 years, $40-50 million.
Yeah, no thanks, Jimmy. Sorry, James. Stay in California if you want that.
Well, in California, that's what, 20 to 21 million.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
40 to 50 million.
That tax.
Up there in Santa Clara, by the way. They bring the hammer down, but it is beautiful. Good views and everything like that. But that'll be interesting to see what you guys do. What's going on?
Jimmy's due $26 million next year and the year after, but if they cut him, it's only $2.8 million against the books.
Yes. So let's assume that he's potentially going to be one of those big names that not just us, everybody's expecting to be released because the salary cap in years past, every GM, whenever they sign contracts, they're preparing for the salary cap to yodel, 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 with that guy with the overalls on The Price is Right.
Yep.
And you know how on The Price is Right, that thing stops and then the son bitch falls down. The NFL, the way they view things is that yodel was never going to stop because there's no signs of it stopping, especially when you're about to sign like a $100 billion deal or something like that, or $10 billion. $100 billion deal. Yeah, 10-year, $100 billion deal. So they assume that salary cap is going to continue to go. So whenever you saw these contracts being made, there was a lot of money kind of getting shuffled off into the distance because it's going to be a bigger salary cap, so it won't be as big of a percentage hit and everything like that. This year with the no real fans. The no Brujas that are like $8.50.
Oh, yeah, more than that.
The hot dogs that are what, $3.50, $4?
Yeah, at least.
The nachos, there's none of that this year.
No.
And if you start doing the math, 60,000 people, 65,000 people, 8 times a year if you count for all the home games, and then you figure in that maybe to buy a shirt, a hoodie, a hat. Hot dog, God forbid 2 beers.
Right.
What? You start factoring all that money. That's a lot of money that is just being wiped completely off the table. So the salary cap is going to affect that. Now, they're saying that the NFL and the NFLPA are currently negotiating to flatten the salary cap as opposed to making it drop off, which was early predictions by people is that it was going to drop off, that it will just plateau. But still, there's a lot of deals that were made for this particular year that thought the mountain was going to be a little bit higher than it is going to be. So you're going to see big names get cut. We weren't the only ones that were saying this. Everybody was saying this. It feels like Jimmy Garoppolo, probably one of those guys. If it's only a $2 million cap hit if they cut him, that is, for them, I'd assume, a move. Now, unless Shanahan loves Jimmy G, which it seems like if you hear rumors, he did like Jimmy G a lot, but he was okay with a potential different quarterback. I'll be excited to see how that plays out with old Jimmy G. He's handsome still, though, huh?
Still handsome.
Still very
I
handsome.
can see him going to the Bears, maybe.
Oh.
Jimmy
The Steelers, too. I mean, I like Jimmy G.
Illinois guy.
I want the other Jimmy Winston. Bring him up to New England now, and let's go get number 7.
Who's going to be the offense coordinator?
I mean, there really hasn't been any talk about McDaniels, has there? I mean, the Texans aren't going to get him.
Well,
I really haven't heard much of his name swirling. It's been a bunch of other guys.
I haven't either. We got a text. We got 2 DMs sent to us from somebody who claims to be an insider about information potentially on what McDaniels is going to do in the future.
Yeah.
And we're not a news breaking people, and we have not legitimized said source.
No.
But that's the only real sound of his name that I've heard or read in this entire situation.
Yeah, nothing like that is clear cut. Like, oh, okay, McDaniels is definitely going because the Chargers.
But did we know Casario was going to be a GM? we did know he was going to be
Yeah,
a GM.
'cause
His name was popping up in those GM interview things.
They tried to get him, 2 years ago?
2019,
Okay, so the Houston Texans hire an Italian named Caserio.
Yes.
And he is the director of player personnel at New England. The real director of player personnel, Bill Belichick, but he was high up in the organization for New England. He's been there for a long time. He was once a scout for New England, and he kind of has gone through the entire New England process all the way up to director of player personnel. I guess 2 years ago, they tried to hire him as the general manager, and Bill Belichick said no.
There's a clause in his contract that didn't allow him to leave, and that clause was no longer in his contract this year.
Okay, so instead of changing the clause, they said no. We put the clause in there for a reason.
Come
You're
on
coming
back. Yeah.
Okay.
Get in your cage.
So he did, by the way. Not a great year in New England.
No.
So Houston gets the person that they initially wanted to hire just 2 years later at this point.
Exactly.
Okay, good for Caserio. Deshaun Watson, you don't like him?
Well, no, it's good for Caserio, but I mean, he's got no picks. Like, what's he going to do? He's just going to sign a bunch of free agents? What's he got?
Well, I think that's why the hire out of the New England's a good idea, because New England seemed to never have to pay anybody, and they were able to succeed. They were able to just kind of do magic tricks with that roster for a long time. Now, it got exposed here the last couple of years, obviously, and everything's kind of gone to shit. But Deshaun Watson, potentially a quarterback that can hide a lot of the other flaws in there. Now, is Deshaun Watson going to be happy? Who knows? I guess there's another guy that's consulting in there from New England. What's his name?
Jack Easterby.
Jack Easterby. I guess everybody's saying he's the most pumped about this signing, probably because the old Caserio guy and he get along well. But the Houston Texans are in such an interesting situation. Going to probably cut J.J. Watt, even though we love J.J. Watt. We're big fans of J.J. Watt. The contract situation seems like they're probably going to cut J.J. Watt. I think it saves them like $15 million.
17,
Well, yeah, they still have to pay $2 or maybe no. No, it saves them $17 million to cut him. He's potentially not going to be there, but you got Deshaun Watson. And the more and more highlights that we see of Deshaun Watson from this season, you kind of forget he was very dominant this year.
So good.
And that team just couldn't win games or whatever. That's why J.J. Watt apologized to him walking off the field. But the Houston Texans are dead for
couple years here.
It seems like it. Unless Caserio can pull a rabbit out of his shoe, dude.
Yeah, but a lot of the talk for the Patriots is how they haven't drafted a Pro Bowler. Doesn't Caserio, he has his hands in the cookie jar when it comes to draft night. Wouldn't you not want to get a guy that's associated with that?
Oh, so you're pumped to get him out of the building.
I'm just saying in 2019, we didn't let him go. He might have been like, you know what? Why don't you draft N'Keal Harry? Let's bring him in. He's got a lot of skill.
Oh, so you think he was tanking up there? Sal Palantonio.
Wow, a lot of people think that there's a possibility that Caserio has been sabotaging the Patriots since we told him to get back in his hole.
No way.
Yeah, some people up in New England are spinning that yarn.
Hey, Sal Palantonio know about this?
Somebody look into it. We got to make sure that there's nothing going on.
There's no way Sal Palantonio, if I know anything about, there's no way Sal Palantonio, Italians, no way Sal Palantonio is calling for an NFL investigation on Caserio up there in New England. No way is he going. Doug Peterson, let's get him. And by the way, I love Sal Palantonio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if Sal Palantonio is calling for investigations, I want to let you know I am right behind him.
Yeah.
Okay? I am. If Sal's doing it, I'm doing it. Because I feel like Sal's like a distinguished gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if Sal wants.
Journeyman.
Will Sal potentially talk about the Paisan up in New England, Caserio potentially tanking the entire New England team because of a clause in his contract that they refused to change? I don't know. We'll see.
Is there also any worry that, Caserio wanted to go there in 2019, so Bill O'Brien wanted this guy in the Texans, building. Is that a worry for Houston at all, if that's who Billy O'Stooge wanted to be there?
That is interesting.
It wasn't Billy O'Stooge. It was Easterby.
So in 2019, too?
Yeah. He had the Texans GM fired to go get Caserio.
Okay. So Houston's just like, let's make the Patriots.
I don't get it. Makes no sense.
Sure sounds like it.
I mean, it beat the Colts a lot. That's probably why
Oh, yeah.
in the AFC South, what team beats a team that was beating us a lot? Let's go get them. Just hire everybody they got.
Screw it.
It's interesting. Cal McNair is the one doing the hiring down there? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's the owner, right?
Yep.
Cal McNair. Cal McNair.
Big Cal.
How'd he get his money? Do we know how Cal McNair?
Bob McNair, his dad, I believe, was the owner, and he died last year.
Didn't the Houston Oilers, right? They went over to Tennessee. Was this same owner, or did they bring this team?
I don't know. That I don't know.
What is the history? Because did they come from the New England Patriots? Like, is that why? Because normally you can tell who's been where with who they hire.
Yeah.
Because everybody has like all right, we're gonna bring this crew here, and then this crew gets fired here for not doing well, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna bring this crew here, and then they do well, or it kind of fades off, and like, oh, we're gonna bring, and there's like 6 of those different crews. You know what I mean? They all. Nick just did some research.
Bob McNair founded an energy company, which he sold in 1999 to Enron.
For $1.5 billion, and then he
Jeez.
paid the NFL $600 million to start the Texans.
That's all it is. $600 million.
Huh. And not back then.
What's so funny, Foxy?
A light bulb.
yeah. What's so funny, Foxy? Seems to be a lot of fake money floating around.
Yeah.
$600 million.
Dakotas still need a team too.
Yeah, that was $600 million in what? 1990 what?
9, I think.
Oh, so you're saying it's going
So
to be
$600 million nowadays will buy you an NHL team, but
No, I'm fucking out.
Crack.
That's hockey talk. Oh, let's get to a break. What is that? Seattle Kraken.
Seattle Kraken, baby.
That team's going to light it up. People forget that they're going to light it up in there.
Wonder what sponsor they have on their buckets.
Probably Russell Wilson's company.
Is Russell Wilson the spokesperson for the Kraken?
Should be.
Should be.
If they want to win any fucking games, hopefully not.
The NFL Films, which we love, by the way, I love NFL Films. They tweeted out a video of the year in review, basically. I forgot what Russell was doing the first 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Hey, he was next.
Slinging it.
The
He
way
was cooking, Pat.
the way
Yeah.
he was talking to you, let Russ cook. That's why the conversation was MVP, because the first 4 weeks. And then something happened. They had that East Coast road trip, and then it seems like they're back or whatever. But I watching that thing, I was like, God damn, I forgot.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff he was doing.
And then they
That was
lost
my
to
quarterback.
And they lost to the Giants.
They threw like 4 picks or had 7 turnovers in 3 weeks or so.
Yep.
But he's back. He seems to be back. He fixed himself. Got to give a motivational speech. 33 minutes, an hour or two here. We're going to get to a break. In the third hour, we have Tom Pelissero and AJ Hawk. On the other side, we'll answer some phone calls, do some more chit-chatting. We can't thank you enough for joining us on this glorious Wednesday, January 6th, Sirius XM, Channel 82, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
We are moments before going out onto the field and kicking some field goals to raise a crap ton of money for the kids. And I'm about to become an old man. I said I do this, then I do this, then I do this. Oh, Cuzzy. Oh my God. You want a little bit of that grandpa? Hey, you see, you go, and then, I'm just so excited we can raise some money because that's what we're here for. What's going on? Hey, hey, hey. It is hard to see down. Cool, Grandpa. There's no way I lived this long in real life.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our contestant and cheer him on as he attempts to raise $70,000 for cancer research. On your mark, get set, go!
My name's Jackson. I've been a fan of the Colts since the Mayflower came from Baltimore.
I don't know, sir. You sound a little familiar.
This is the greatest city on earth. And ladies and gentlemen, it was my honor to raise $70,000 for cancer research. Sorry, I missed a couple. I'm an old man. Let's go. Let's beat
Ladies
the hell
and
out of the
gentlemen,
Bills.
give it up for Pat McAfee at $70,000. $20,000 towards cancer research. Go Colts!
And the ball's leaning back.
Couldn't see. It's a lot more difficult seeing. Hi! Old man's got a hammer.
I didn't think I could continue to be an FCC-regulated person without really hitting my max potential.
And that's why he's with us. I love it. The Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82.
Welcome back to said show. Most guys have tried different ways to last longer in the sack, but thinking about baseball, it doesn't always work, fellas.
No, it doesn't. Never does.
The folks at Roman, an online men's health company, are changing the game with Roman Swipes, the secret to longer-lasting sex. Don't say the Pledge of Allegiance in your head anymore, okay? Don't count backwards from whatever number you need to count down from. That ain't going to work anyways. Roman Swipes are a clinically proven way to last longer in the sack. They're effective, easy to use, fast-acting, and doctor-recommended, but don't require a prescription. Roman can ship swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipes packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it when the time is right. Swipes are great. They will not transfer to your partner, so you can last longer without any worry of them knowing that you got a tag team partner being rubbed on your magic stick.
Hell yeah.
They're super easy to use. Just take the swipes out of the packet, apply, let it dry, and you're good to go. Keep Roman Swipes in your back pocket for longer, better sex, and get yours fast with free 2-day shipping by visiting getroman.com/USA. GETROMAN.com/USA. We beat the Soviets, by the way, with a bunch of college kids and didn't break any ankles to do so.
Correct.
Yeah.
Canada did not deserve that. So the next time you go and make love. The next time you go and
beat cheeks.
The next time you go and
bend someone over the barrel and show them 50 states.
See, that's not one, though.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
Ted Lasso made that up.
Your boy,
it is.
tried to tell him. J-Suds. That's a J-Suds original.
Ted Lasso did not make that up. J-Sud might have. Ted Lasso did not.
No.
Anyways, next time you're going to go do that, why don't you put on a show and have the best night of your entire life, or morning or afternoon, whatever it is. GetRoman.com/USA. Free 2-day shipping. Shout out to them. Let's get some phone calls, shall we, on this Wednesday, January 6, 2021. Big thanks to Stipe Miocic and Mark Madden for joining us thus far. Now joining us from Florida, Jake. What's going on, Jake?
Hey, how you doing, Pat and the boys? Happy birthday to AJ, who I know is not on the show yet.
Hero, you're a hero. We'll let him know from you. We appreciate that. What do you want to talk about, pal?
I'd appreciate it. I got two things, actually. The first one is, do you think the Bills are going to ultimately regret starting Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and beating the shit out of the Dolphins, allowing the Colts in? Because the Colts are going to beat them this weekend. And number two, yesterday you were talking about Jerry Jones hiring bad coaches. From what I understand, Jerry Jones likes to have the credit when he hires the coaches, and Jimmy Johnson, when they won, took a lot of the credit, so that's why he let him go. So I think that's why he hires hand clappers like Jason Garrett.
Okay, Jake. Appreciate that.
Interesting.
Bills letting the Colts in by stomping the Dolphins in a game that the Dolphins, if they win, Colts don't get in. Interesting to see how it all plays out. That's going to be a really good game. Saturday, 1:05, by the way. The first game of Super Wild Card Weekend is Bills-Colts. Going to be a good one. And then Steelers-Browns on Sunday Night Football. And then, obviously, the 4 games in between there, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday noon, Sunday afternoon, and then Sunday Night Football. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait for it. I hope the Colts get a win. Be great for the city. Be great for the organization. That Bills team seems to be on fire, which is what I enjoy. I like whenever teams go ahead and continue to play good football and not worry about anything else. We're just going to worry about us. We're playing against nameless, faceless opponents. We have to be the best us, and if we are the best us, nobody has a chance. Feels like the Buffalo Bills feel like that right now. We're going to come out. We're going to run our offense. We're going to run our defense. We're going to do our thing. If this lets the Colts in, which are considered a better team than the Dolphins, which they are, by the way, with a Jonathan Taylor is a game changer.
Yeah.
Complete game changer. Or do we kind of get off of our groove, our rhythm, which they're in right now? That's an interesting thing. We'll see how the game plays out. And if the Bills lose, that'll be questioned for the next month or two or whatever. Best year Bills have had in a long, long time. AFC East champions, absolutely dominant. Then they lose to the Indianapolis Colts in the first round. Seems like that's something that everybody would talk about if it happened after they lost.
If they don't have Diggs, they're definitely going to be in some trouble because Josh Allen and Diggs, I mean, that's what, a third or a fourth of their offense?
And what they say, he was rubbing something in
he's got an oblique. Cole Beasley hasn't practiced either.
He's got a knee.
So Stephon Diggs has been the X factor. Now, granted, Josh Allen went and did the logistics to learn how his arm needs to time up with his hip like a golf swing, and he's become a much more accurate passer, and he has a much better handle of defenses. He's looked unbelievable. He's in the MVP conversation, which is notable and understandable and awesome. But Stephon Diggs seems to be quite an X factor for him, becoming a much better player this particular year as well. Because the deep ball, because he always had a super strong arm, 83 yards documented. 83 yards documented, he said. But he's always been able to throw the ball far, but his deep ball percentage was low. Now he's got a guy that can go get balls for him and Stephon Diggs, and that's been a massive X factor. The oblique, he was held out of practice yesterday, right? Or yesterday they probably didn't have practice. Oh, they probably did because they're playing on Saturday. Today's Thursday then in the entire world of the NFL because yesterday was Wednesday, so yesterday was definitely a work day for them if they're playing on Saturday. I'll be excited to see if he's held out today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's red zone and cleanup.
He was limited.
See what he is today. Wednesday, Thursday, big work days. Today, remember, if you're playing on Saturday, is a Thursday in the NFL world. Yeah.
On the scale of playing with injuries, how tough is...
Third downs today. Third down. Big third down day. Thursday.
I think
third
he'd
down
be
day.
pretty important.
Put in the game plan.
Yeah. We'd always watch practice to see if we're going to suck or not. That play doesn't seem like it's going to work.
Uh-oh.
Hope they don't call that one. Oh, I like that play. That play seems to work every time. I hope we call it. Oh, third down with a lot of punting today. A lot of punting today. Hey, boys, let's go now, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, let's go now, boys. Let's get it tight. Throw it out. Throw that one out. I mean, it was a good time on Thursdays. But if he's limited, that means he's playing.
Okay.
If he's practicing at all, he's going to play then, obviously. You would assume. Unless yesterday was a big test, I'd assume he'd be okay, which is big for them. Cole Beasley also out? Now that is something we have to talk. He was out completely, or was he limited as well?
He was out completely.
Oh!
Yeah, his knee's flaming up.
Hey, that's third down. Cole Beasley is a go-to. He's always been good. Dallas, he was good. He's been good in Buffalo. He always kind of gets shit on, though. Everybody, in the national media, he kind of shit. He's been a baller, dude.
Yeah, that NFL Films thing that you were talking about where they went to the Hail Murray game, if you recall, he absolutely diced Patrick Peterson in that game. Put him on skates and scored a touchdown.
I do remember that. It was over the, it was like a little drag route or whatever. Patrick Peterson, by the way, I'll be excited to see what his future holds.
Yeah, I wonder what he's going to do.
I do wonder, what's his contract? Can you look up what Patrick Peterson's contract is for the Arizona Cardinals? Because that team's a very interesting spot.
I know he's doing a podcast right now.
Is he really?
With Bryant McFadden, former Steelers great.
Really?
Nice.
I've met Pat a couple times. He's always been very nice to me. He loves golf.
Yeah.
Him and Larry Fitzgerald, love golf. Yeah. How old is he? He seems like he's been around a long time, right? 7, 8 years? 9 years?
Longer than that, I think.
10 years? 11 years?
What?
Maybe 12?
What?
Is he older than me?
He's been in the league for 10 years. His age is 30, and his contract is up.
Okay. So that's going to be an interesting decision for him. What's he going to do? Doing a podcast? Hey, maybe is he going to move on? Or is he still going to play? Is he still going to be locked down? Or are they going to move? Maybe he goes, I don't know. What is Patrick Peterson?
It's the second best podcast on the internet with just two former DBs or one current DB, one former DB.
Oh, you're talking about Antoine and Darius by the Man to Man podcast.
Yeah.
That is a great show. I listen to it. Love it. Let's go to Mike in New York. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, so I actually had a question. Do you guys think that if the Dolphins decide that they're moving on from Tua, that they maybe pursue Dak Prescott?
Everybody's going to be in the market for Dak Prescott, right? That needs a quarterback. Jerry Jones, though, has come out and said basically that Dak has all the leverage in this thing. Now, is Jerry publicly negotiating with Dak Prescott and his people in every single interview that he does? Yes. That is a public negotiation happening. He is saying to everybody, including Dak and his people, his thoughts are how he wants to be portrayed in this negotiation, because it did get ugly last time Dak and the Cowboys were negotiating for a long-term contract. Then numbers started getting leaked to hopefully, I think, in the team's attempt to make Dak look like greedy almost. Like, this is what we offered him, this is what we turned it down. You got to remember, any information you hear that is being leaked about contract negotiations, there's a reason behind the leak, and it's somebody trying to make themselves look good and the other side look bad. Jerry going in playing like he's almost like hey, this is the best football team we're going to play this weekend. You know, because if you talk down about somebody that inevitably beats you, everything you said about that person, you must be lower or worse than that. So, like, classic heel talk is you talk up people that you're going against, so that whenever you beat them, it's like, I beat somebody. You hear football coaches do it all the time. Like, and Tom McMahon, by the way, was one of the best at painting a picture that every punt returner I was playing was goddamn the next Devin Hester or Tyreek Hill or Joshua Cribbs or something like that. Like, that's what you do. You always put them up. I think Jerry's doing that now to put Dak up, so that when the number is large, okay, because it's going to be large, his Cowboys fans understand, like, hey, the leverage was against us. And, like, he's almost, I don't want to say, like, he's trying to, it feels like he's trying to set the Cowboys fans up for how big the number's probably going to be, if I had to guess how this is going.
Yeah, he said that he can't imagine Dak Prescott holding more leverage than he brings to these negotiations. He also doesn't question Prescott's value. The issue is compensating him at the level he demands while having a quality team around him.
Did you say compensating?
Yes.
Well, you didn't, but compensating.
Yeah.
That's a big word. It was a big word. That's a good word. But also building a team around him?
The issue is compensating him at the level he demands while having a quality team around him.
There it is. Yeah. So the thing about that is they've already paid everybody the highest in every single position.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So they're going to have to potentially trade people away, or maybe have Danucci playing offensive line for them.
Yeah.
You know, there is a lot of, balance with that whole thing, but it's your quarterback. You take care of your quarterback. This is football. Quarterback is the team, basically. It's always been interesting. I've been a part of a couple situations where the quarterback got paid big and then the roster wasn't great, and then there were some questions that were called in, and then it was mentioned about how hard it is to build a team around a quarterback, and it's like everybody else seems to be able to do it, so stop fucking making excuses in this whole thing. Or just go with a young quarterback that doesn't have a big contract, spend money all around a quarterback, do the Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom era team, Los Angeles Rams team, whenever they had everything. Just do that style if that's what you want to do. If you're going to pay a quarterback, you're going to have to be good at manipulating the rest of the roster so you have enough players everywhere. And by the way, that's part of being general manager. That's part of being, and this is not just at Jerry, this is at a lot of people who make the excuse that if you pay somebody, it's hard to do everything else. It's like, yeah, that's why there is a salary cap. You have to be able to do that. That's a part of the business of this.
You would think it would probably actually help them to get this contract done, because if not, you have to pay him $38 million with the franchise tag, versus like the Chiefs, who have to pay Patrick Mahomes $24 million next year, and Sean Watson's owed $15 million next year.
Yeah, but remember, Patrick Mahomes signed a deal that's worth like $75 million a year in a couple years. He took all the small numbers this year so they could build the team. Which, by the way, great salary cap manipulation by the Kansas City Chiefs. What was it, a $500 million? How much was it?
Yeah, 10 years.
$500 million deal, right? Is that plane landing on our buildings?
Goddamn Huey up there.
Jesus Christ! It felt like I was one of them fucking. That's like I feel like I actually saw it almost just come right over our studio,
directing the airplanes.
Yeah, I felt like I had one of them things like, ain't you low it down so that everybody in the building can hear that you're fucking here. I mean, that's what it felt like I was doing there.
Because Dak, Lamar, and probably Josh Allen too are all going to get massive contracts. Are we closer to the salary cap strictly for quarterbacks as their own entity, or no?
I've been pitching this since the last CBA.
Yeah.
because I saw all the money go up. They're like, going to be more guaranteed money. They had to go up a percentage for the players to use. Salary cap's going to go higher. And then as soon as you saw the way the money was going, it was like that salary cap was not helping anybody but the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Salary cap gets bigger, quarterback money gets bigger. And actually they made a vet min and a rookie min that had like $400,000 difference. And the idea was with the veteran min that if you're an older player, you can at least, they can show value in you by paying you the veteran min, which was like $800,000, and then the rookie min's like $400,000. But in turn, what happened is they spent so much money on the quarterbacks that all the veteran men's actually just, hey, we'll take, yeah, fuck you. We'll save $400,000 per player and somebody else. So it kind of ended up hurting the back half of the roster, which I think was the purpose of maybe helping. It actually ended up just completely changing. So I've been pitching for a long time. Let the quarterbacks just get their own tiered system. Put them in blah, blah, blah. If you want to break the tier, do your thing. Let the salary cap for the rest of the roster. But that's never going to happen because roster manipulation has to be a part of the checks and balances of the competition of the NFL. Has to be a part of it.
Plus, it would make sense to do something like that.
Yeah, well, it would. I was so frustrated. Just, oh my guys, the veteran special teamers. These guys will.
First one's out the door.
Yeah, they might not be, they're not going to come off the edge and get you 10 sacks on the defense side of the ball if 3 guys get hurt and they have to go out there, right? Which is what some people, well, he doesn't know the defense. Who fuck, you're not going to play him? If we get to him, we're fucked anyways. Well, they're just saying if you do get to him, they would like to be. It's like, well, 3 people have to get hurt for this person to get on the field. If 3 people get hurt in one position, we're fucked anyways, probably, right?
Yeah.
We can probably imagine that we're probably fucked anyways. It's like, well, that's not how they view it. They want to be able to have or whatever. I'm like, come on. And then you get some OG special teamers who can't practice Wednesday, by the way, or Thursday, because in games what they're doing, you see, is they take Toradol and they get their bodies ready, and then they just throw themselves into piles of humans at full speed. Like that is just what they do. They completely sell out. That's what they made a living doing. It's like, well, we can't use them in practice, and they're also $400,000 more money. And also, I'm like, yeah, but hey, young guy, hey, do you care about your well-being? Yeah, this guy ain't gonna do what that guy did. These guys are gonna do. It's just gonna be different. Well, it's a business, you save. I'm like, come on, bro. But the next CBA, hopefully they'll be able to figure that out.
Hopefully,
I doubt it.
No way.
But I hope so. Jerry Jones, though, is going to have to figure that out, and it's already getting public. So I would assume you'll hear from Dak's people publicly somehow through some leak about what the expectations are. It'll probably be, I love being a Dallas Cowboy and hopes to remain that way. Anything that gets out, remember, there's always a reason. Diggs?
I just want to shout out, that Jerry said it was a tough season, but congrats to him on having the most fans in the stadium during a pandemic of all time.
Completely forgot about that. He did say that this morning.
Yeah.
Attaboy, Jerry.
Congrats, Jer. We got the most motherfuckers in here. Mike Ducey, Fox at Fox 4, we're on your side. On his radio show, Jerry Jones said he's disappointed in the season, obviously. We lost. Don't know if you guys saw that. Week 6, we had leaks that the coaches couldn't coach and everything like that. And I was attacked basically all year, and we lost our franchise quarterback, and one of the most gruesome injuries we've seen in some time. But, disappointed in the season for sure. But, when I take a step back, I think we did set a Guinness World Record. They had an adjudicator there and everything for attendance during a pandemic. And that is something that will not get talked about. I would like it to be known when maybe 2040 or 2055, when old Jerry's not around anymore. I would like to let them know that during a pandemic, Uncle Jerry Jones down here at the Star, world record for motherfuckers that we got into once.
Hell yeah.
Just make sure that is not forgotten about. I love that. That's always selling, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Always selling. I know you guys want to talk about Dak. Okay, you want to talk about the season, but can we not talk about the positives? Fucking Guinness World Record, dude. How old am I? How many 90-year-olds have gone a fucking Guinness World Record? That's what I got going on. Good for him.
That is crazy, too. They had over 30,000 fans in their last 4 home games, and there still aren't going to be any fans at Lambeau for the playoffs. It's wild.
Is everybody dead that's gone to those games? We hope not, obviously.
We hope not. I have no idea, though.
I have not
confirm it.
seen a headline that 30,000 people died from attending a Cowboys game.
Well, by the way, probably would be a headline.
Oh, yeah.
And who knows how that whole thing would play out. Sean Payton said in an interview that he suggested, maybe we get 50,000 tests. We quarantine 50,000 people. We put them in buses, bring them in the Superdome. We got the safest, most COVID-free area on planet Earth. And the New Orleans Saints fans, who that nation, who are incredibly powerful in gaming, we get a chance to have that opportunity. And some people were like, Sean, you're crazy. I'm like,
who says no?
Why haven't we been doing that? The WWE does that for NXT, they have like 50 live fans, and those fans have to go through an entire testing process. They're in a hotel. They get a bus to the whole thing. They've committed. Why not just do that? I don't know, 20, 30X.
Yeah. Easy.
60, 70X.
See no problems.
80% of the cities in the playoffs would do that with fans.
For the fans would be
The fans would. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, tell the boss.
Yeah.
I'm missing week 1, 2, 3 of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They fucking need me down at Heinz. Why aren't they doing that?
I don't know.
They should.
Bills Mafia would be locked in a hotel closet if they had a chance to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rams might be the only fan base that wouldn't show up to do that.
Probably.
We got shit to do.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. We'll watch, like everybody else. But
From home.
legit, though, people would do that.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be amazing. In the third hour, we'll have Tom Pelissero, AJ Hawk, and more of your phone calls. It's the Pat McAfee Show, Wednesday, January 6, 2021.
Too much. They really just inflate it back. Did they just send somebody down there?
I don't know the procedure, but I just know they reinflate it.
Not quite, Pat McAfee. Let's talk. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Suter, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. Someone sent me this clip from the Pat McAfee Show the other day where he was talking about how they treat and manage a collapsed lung like Drew Brees had. And no real hate on Pat here. He's not a doctor. He shouldn't know. But they completely misexplained here what they do. And so I'm going to clear it up in this video by reacting here to what he said and fill in the gaps to explain to you guys how they really treat this with Drew Brees' collapsed lung.
Collapsed lung. How many lungs you got? 2?
Yeah, that's it.
So we're off to a good start. Pat McAfee's right here. We have 2 lungs, a right and a left, but within each we have multiple lobes. On the left side, it's pretty easy. We have a left superior lobe, and then we have a left inferior lobe. On the right, a little more complicated, but still pretty easy. We have a right superior lobe, we have a right middle lobe, and then we have a right inferior lobe. So 3 lobes on the right, 2 lobes on the left, still 2 lungs overall.
What's the deal? Everybody talks like, punctured lung, not that big of a deal. Collapsed lung, not that big of a deal. It's like, what happened?
Yeah, usually a collapsed lung is not that big of a deal, but they can develop something called a tension pneumothorax, where that pressure builds up so much in the lung that it can actually push on the blood vessels of the heart, impairing your cardiac output, and can actually be fatal. So typically, yeah, collapsed lungs, while very painful and needing management, aren't always life or death. They can develop into a tension pneumothorax, which actually can be fatal. So they have to be taken very seriously nonetheless.
It's a couple. They work together. Oh, so you tag team each other? Or I believe so. Tag one in, tag one in?
Good point here too. The lungs do work together. There are people who can have a lobectomy, where they essentially remove one of those lobes of the lung, and you can still get enough oxygen perfusion to your blood. So yes, when someone has a collapsed lung, they can still get enough oxygen for kind of vital functions, but you're going to feel very short of breath, and it's going to be super painful.
One picks up the slack. And when the one collapses, how come do they just send like people go over there and just like take a plunger and like bring it back?
They inflate it.
How's it work? How does the lung?
All right, so they do not just re-inflate the lung whenever somebody has a collapsed lung, and this is kind of the biggest misconception here from his video.
We went to high school with a kid who had a collapsed lung in a game, and
Also note here, I've had multiple collapsed lungs, so I've kind of been through this in terms of the symptoms and how they treat it, so I have a little bit of experience, unlike a lot of the other sports injuries I talk about.
Inflate it, and then you're out for
what? Blow it up like a balloon. Something down like a bed, like an air mattress.
Exactly.
And you got somebody just stepping on it. Yeah, it was like in Space Jam, right? And then they check the PSI, and then they puncture it. You know what I mean? Like the thing. Too much.
All right, so I know Pat's kind of joking here, probably intentionally, but might not actually understand how we actually treat these. No, you don't go in and re-inflate the lung when the lung collapses. What you do is you suck the air out of the space around the lung, which allows the lung to re-inflate itself. Our lungs are surrounded by this layer of tissue called a visceral pleura, and then there's a parietal pleura that's on the inside of the chest wall. There's a potential space in between those two linings, and that potential space is actually at a negative pressure with normal breathing. When you have a collapsed lung, what's happened is there's air that's escaped the lung or gotten in from the outside of the body that goes into that potential space, and the pressure goes up. As the pressure goes up, that increasing pressure actually pushes the lung inward. So it's not really that the lung collapses, so to speak. It's more so that the lung is getting pushed to collapse because of the pressure in the chest building up from excess air. What they actually do to treat these is, if it's an emergency type of situation, they'll take a needle with an empty syringe and they'll stick that into the chest to allow that pressure to blow out and escape from the chest wall to let the lung reinflate. When somebody puts a chest tube in, it's trying to drain the air from the chest cavity, so you're not putting air back into the lung to pump it back up like an inflatable bed. You're pulling the air that's got into that space out so that the lung can reinflate itself.
They really just inflate it back? Did they just send somebody down there?
I don't know the procedure.
So again, no, they don't send anything down there. They come in from the outside, they put a needle in, they put a tube in. That allows the air to escape, which lowers that pressure and lets the lung reinflate.
First things first, 50-yard trash can drop into the bucket accuracy contest. Apple, set, go. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it. All right, let's see how easy it is to catch now with the boys. Let's go, Frank. Time maybe to play down low. All right, so you can throw the shit out of it and catch it. I think the XFL ball gets a big pass. By the way, I hit some bombs with it as well.
Todd.
Oh!
The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we could talk about.
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. And today's a special day, isn't it?
It is.
You know, 37 years ago on this particular day, somewhere in Ohio, okay, a little baby human that had a penis entered this world. And when it came into this world, its jawline was already defined. It hopped out of the doctor's hands and cobra struck the doctor right in his eyeballs, breaking his glasses and the mask that he had on his face. That baby would go on to become a college football national champion, a Super Bowl champion, the man who ended Kirk Herbstreit's career, and co-host of this show on the third hour of most days. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday, A.J. Hawk.
AJ Hawk!
Happy birthday, AJ.
Thank you. That was one of the best introductions I have ever had. Yeah, I was definitely when you said little baby was born with a penis to make sure you got that out there.
It was a male baby. It was a male baby. People didn't know where I was headed. I just wanted to let them know that it was a male that happened. And I forgot to say that before the human, so I had to figure out how I could tack it on at the end. Thanks for working on your birthday. I believe if any of us knew it was your birthday, I don't know, yesterday, probably would have told you like, hey, go ahead and have an entire afternoon with the family, enjoy their birthday. Yeah. We appreciate you doing this, man.
It's good. I'm 37. I'm not 10, so I don't need to have the whole day squared off for me.
All right. So right now, you have finished 37 years of life. You're going into your 38th trip around the sun.
Yeah.
In your first 37 years, AJ, please share with all of us what you think is the most vital piece of information you've ever learned. It's a fun activity.
I'm interested to hear the
This is a fun birthday activity, by the way, because you're not 10 anymore, so you don't know shit then.
No.
You are 37, so 37 trips around the sun, I feel like you'll pick up something.
Yeah, for sure.
So, AJ, the good birthday activity, what is a piece of information you've learned in your 37 trips around the sun that is vital, I think, for the rest of the world to know?
Well, I mean, I have a question. I have a question for Connor. You mentioned 37 trips around the sun. Is that what is truly happening, Connor? Is the solar system as we think it is?
AJ, look, we can't get into these things, especially on a day like today where things are happening in other places of the world. So can you just answer the question, please?
Yeah, they're storming Capitol, I think, right now, by the way. Just stay calm.
Throwing up crosses.
Hey, it's your fucking birthday, all right? Let's get back to your birthday. Let's stay calm. But
please.
Laying siege to it.
I believe there's some real shit popping off in the real world that is shown up in my Twitter timeline, by the way. And if it makes it into my timeline, it has had to gone through numerous different Twitters to get to my particular timeline. But anyways, AJ, one piece of information, last 37 trips around the sun that you think everybody should, have and carry on with them forever. A moment with AJ Hawk here, if you will.
I mean, this is ridiculous, like what you're trying to do. I don't have any advice for anybody other than the people that are upset when people say their age, like, oh, man, I'm really getting old. Cool, man. What is it, this or dead? So I'm okay. I feel fine. I feel great. I love being everything is relative. I tell you that all the time. Like, it's all relative. If you think you have money, guess what? There's people that can piss on your money. Like, if you think you're old, well, there's a lot of older people that think I'm young, and there's a lot of young kids that think I'm old. So who cares? Like, just enjoy it.
There it is. Put it on a T-shirt.
37 years.
Who cares?
Put it up. Put a quote right here. Just do the whole quote, and then right here go, A.J. Hawk on his birthday. You know what I mean? AJ, Devontae Smith won the Heisman last night. Trevor Lawrence declares for the NFL. How are your thoughts on college football? Apparently, Ohio State, a place that you are near and dear, and it still says on your license plate that you are a legend of. Yep. The Ohio State Buckeyes potentially going through a little bit of a COVID situation. Are they going to have to delay the game? Are the boys not going to be able to play against Alabama? Or are they trying to get out of this goddamn game, AJ? T's and P's, everybody. We hope everybody survives, but we hope it's not the latter there.
Well, yesterday after our show, I jumped on. I was 4 to 6 on the Big Ten channel. I was awaiting all of your calls. They must not have come through.
No, you didn't give us the number.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, pretty tough to find. But no, we talked.
It was.
Yeah, impossible.
I was trying all afternoon and I couldn't get through.
Oh, so Gumpy did know the number. He kind of just ruined everything we were saying.
I didn't want to waste your guys' time as well as mine.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Gumpy.
Appreciate that.
That's Canadian nice. Anyways, you guys were too busy. We couldn't get our phone calls through. But anyways, big news yesterday. I mean, Saban's daughter got involved with it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is a big deal right now. If you're not confident to play, then say it, AJ. I call BS on the COVID cases. They're just worried about their QB and want him to have more time to heal. If he's hurt, put in your backup. You didn't see us postpone the rest of the season away for Waddle. Bye. Okay, she obviously deleted that. I would assume more information kind of came out about, maybe no delay of game will happen, but they are having an outbreak, I guess, of COVID. What's going on in Ohio? I didn't even know this was happening until I saw her tweet. And then once I saw her tweet, I kind of read it into everything else. And then the information kind of got mixed. I don't know. What is going on? The game's going to be good. You guys are going to play. Is Ohio State going to win? What's going on?
Well, I think as of right now, 2:08 on Wednesday, the game is scheduled to still happen. Like Ohio State is still moving forward.
All right.
Who knows? Every day, though, it can change. You know that. Like whenever the next round of testing comes back, I have no idea what it's like how many people are out. They were saying if a whole position group is kind of taken out, should they postpone the game, I guess is the question.
What do you think?
I don't know. I guess if let's say you have 10 D linemen and 6 of them are out. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, you're in trouble. But most college teams have more than 10 D linemen, right?
Yeah, but okay. I know there's all these protocols, and you got to have a certain amount of scholarship linemen. Like all the conferences have these weird protocols. If there's to meet your max of when you're not going to play a game, I guess. So I don't know. No, I mean I don't think the game's getting postponed. I think just go ahead, play it the 11th. Hopefully Justin Fields is all right.
I don't care enough about either team or either side to have a genuine emotional opinion about whether or not the game gets delayed. I can see both sides of this, though, very much so. If you're Ohio State, it's like, hey, national championship, we should have our best team. We don't get this opportunity a lot. Like, even if you're a great team, you don't get a chance to get to the national championship. But if you're Alabama, it's like, hey, we've had to deal with the same motherfucking thing you have. Yep. We've handled it better. That should be a competitive advantage if you're Alabama. We've been able to handle COVID better than you guys have been able to. We have all our players ready to play. You don't. This is a you problem, not an our problem, because we both have to handle this. But on Ohio State side, it's like, should we not put on our team, though, if we don't have that is a very interesting thing, especially when you're talking about national championship, because then you got to go back to some teams who potentially didn't make it into the playoff because they had a COVID issue. And they're like, well, if we would have delayed this, wouldn't even be a conversation because we would have. It's just I'm happy it's not a team that I care about happening, is what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy I don't have to actually be invested in that, because you can clearly see how the other side, that's a very logical excuse for the other side as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think as just like a casual fan, though, if it just means pushing it back a couple days and we get a better game, shit, we don't get football every day of the week. I mean, so it's like, hey, if we got to look forward to this on Thursday instead of Monday, it's not going against an NFL game, and fuck it, push it back.
And there's no games coming after that, so go ahead and do it. But then you have to think about every other game that potentially happened with a COVID problem throughout the season. Would you be pissing on the graves of those games? You know what I mean?
Wisconsin would not be happy. We know that.
There is. AJ, you obviously would like to see the best Ohio State squad. I would assume that is the narrative being said out of the Ohio State fans, which, by the way, is completely accurate. Yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad one.
Wouldn't you assume even like Alabama fans, like, or I guess true like diehard college football fans that care about all the history and tradition, like they want to see an equal matchup too. Like they don't want to see some weird game where one team has 9 starters down or something.
I would assume that's the case, but fans of Alabama do not care. If we got to play,
shouldn't, even if you could say, "Oh, put an asterisk by it." Who cares? Like no one's going to remember 3 years from now.
Yeah, this ring's still going to shine. This ring's still going to shine.
But don't they probably think they're going to beat Ohio State regardless?
Their fans do, yeah. So I think they're probably thinking it doesn't matter if your people are healthy or not. We're going to beat the shit out of you. Or they're thinking this is not our fault that you guys couldn't handle it. Much like the Steelers thought about it with the Titans and everything else. You know, that seems to be a little bit of an interesting thing. Trevor Lawrence is going to the NFL. How do you feel about it? You think he's going to be good in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. You never know. Like, how do you? If you look at everything he's done, like everything about him, he says all the right things, does all the right things. Seems to be like this guy that is so squared away, and he has the physical tools. Of anyone coming out, you would think, yeah, if there's a sure bet, like a surefire guy, this would be him.
And I think he's handled every situation rather well. Right? Didn't have the best game against Ohio State. I think a lot of people would say that. But he handled losing the Heisman last night in a proper fashion.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he handled it, like a mature individual. And why does that even get judged? What if he actually got mad last night when he lost? I would have loved it. I would have absolutely loved it. He goes, "Oh, fuck you." Like what if he would have said, I would have absolutely loved it. And everybody would have went after him. Does he have a character flaw because he did that? It's like, I feel like a lot of the shit gets judged when we don't know anything at all. Like, we have no idea what Trevor's going to be like in the NFL in a completely different locker room. We assume that everything's going to work, but we have no idea. Just like whenever you talk about other players and you question things out there, it's like, you have no idea. What if they get to the NFL and let's say they are a complete turd in college, like any position? What if they are just a complete turd, which is a term in football used as a human that just can't get right, okay? Just this person can't get right. What if they have a mushrooms moment in the NFL and they completely flip the script whenever they get their first paycheck and they become, you have no idea if that could happen. Or the complete opposite. What if somebody's a dude and all of a sudden they get a little bit of money, they get comfortable? Like, that's why I think it's so hard. I think that whole draft process and predicting who's going to be good or not is such a difficult one. I don't know how the hell they figure it out.
I mean, they're basically, they're making guesses on all of, like, backed up by the information that they have, but it's how they view the information too. Like, each scouting department, they write up reports on every single guy that's coming out for the draft, and every single scout has different things to say. It probably has different weaknesses and strengths that they give each guy. So it's a guessing game, man. And then once they're there, though, once a guy like Trevor Lawrence is in the league, he also kind of needs the right pieces around him too. Like, if you have an awful play caller and a terrible team, like, good luck. It's going to be tough.
It's like Chris Ballard of the Colts. I think he has like a Navy SEAL interrogator that does interviews.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I think they're starting to realize that, okay, the physical talent a lot of people have. Everything is, how can we figure out in their brain if there's somebody we want to bring in and think that they're going to buy into what we got going on. And that's a big deal. Yeah, I think it's like a Navy SEAL, either a psychiatrist or interrogator or something like that. Like, I was like, good idea. Chris was like, I don't even really talk to the guys much whenever we have our time when we just kind of let him just do his thing. Just Chris Barrett's blog. Oh, that's an interesting answer.
Let's mirror the interrogation.
Glass. Yeah, sitting on the other side. Yeah. Because, AJ, whenever you went to the Combine, you're number 5 overall pick. Congratulations.
Whoa!
In those 37 years of life, that is also one of those monumental days where you didn't go to the draft. Did he go to the draft? No, you didn't go to the draft. But you had that awesome suit when he went to Green Bay. He took some pictures. Right? Was that day?
Yeah, I went to Green Bay that night of the draft,
In a suit, right?
Boxy suit, yeah, it was great.
You looked awesome, by the way. You're a hero for all of us that day. But whenever you were going through the entire Combine process, did they just teach you the answers to give to people? Because they say that the prep for those interviews is almost as important as all the other shit, like the 40s and everything like that.
Yeah, it is if you're dumb. If you don't know how to speak. I understand getting coached up like on whiteboard stuff, like because they'll bring you in. Nick Saban was the coach of the Dolphins. I'm sitting in the room with them. He's like, hey, draw up like your 3 favorite blitzes. And so you have to be able to draw up and they can understand real quickly if you know what you're talking about when you're trying to put it on the board. But when they try to coach you up on how to answer like basic questions, hey, you've had a little bit of a troubled past. You're gonna need to know how to answer these. Like they want to know you. They want to get to know the person they're talking to. They don't want to know like this coached up version, and they can see right through it. So I feel like if you're authentic, just be honest, man. That's all it takes.
I was down at the Senior Bowl. I didn't get a chance to go to the Combine, and I had a underage in possession in college. Ooh. Believe it or not, you know what I mean. It wasn't an underage. It was a minor in possession or something. I forget what it is, something like that, where they can just take money from you. Okay, you fucked up. We're going to get money from you, but it's not as serious as anything else because we don't have the time to deal with you. So it's like that's kind of how the situation was, and. I think it was the Dolphins as well. They had like a security guy, almost like a former. They pulled me aside at the Senior Bowl in like the lobby. When you're walking through the lobby, you like get pulled and like to go talk to people or whatever. And the guy goes, "Do you have any run-ins in Morgantown with anybody or anything?" And I was like, "Oh, here we go. Here's the moment." There's no way he knows about that, does he? Was it Tuesday night? It was long. Yeah, I had a minor in possession or whatever one night. We were celebrating, it was somebody's birthday. We were having a good time. But other than that, no, I had a pretty good time. I mean, I guess there was, some cops that were potentially showed up at a couple parties I had, but it was always good time. It was nothing negative or whatever. And he was like, okay, thanks. And then the next team asked me a question that was similar, and I had known the guy that was asking me the question or whatever. I forget how I know. I knew him through a friend or something, and he said, by the way, we all know that you have it, by the way. So we all know exactly what happened to you. And I was like, whew, thank God. Because the guy asked me before this, I had to make the decision on whether or not to lie to him, and I told him the truth, and he was like, well, that's a very good idea, because I would assume as soon as you lie to them, you're just immediately off. Now, the Dolphins never looked at me again, so maybe my answer maybe was true, and he knew it, but he just wanted to hear it from my mouth, tell him a little bit of story. So those whole situations are interesting. Will Trevor throw if they have to throw? Will he do his pro day? Will he run? Will he do interview? Like, what all will Trevor do now? Now, if I'm Trevor, I'm looking at what Andrew Luck did, and I'm doing exactly what Andrew Luck did, whatever it is. Did he run? Maybe. Did he throw? Maybe. Did he work at his pro day? Whatever he did, let's do that, because that decision-making process goes into the whole thing as well.
Well, especially Trevor, like the big-time quarterbacks where it looks like Trevor's going to be the number 1 pick, he doesn't need to throw at the Combine. He probably won't. Like, why would you go throw to random guys you don't know when you can have, like, this choreographed pro day, which is what they all do? Jordan Palmer, friend of the show, he comes on. Like, he choreographs those pro days for these players. He goes through the whole process with us. So don't you think a quarterback, you could say, oh, hey, I'm a competitor. I'm going to go to the Combine and throw. And then you'd probably have a couple coaches like, hey, man, don't throw. Like, are you stupid? You're the number 1 overall pick. Don't throw here.
Let's talk about Jordan Palmer's scripting of those workouts. Have you been there whenever they go through those, or have you?
No, but there's a lot of footage of him like going through the training part, and then they show film from the pro days and how Jordan there's a whole process of different dropbacks to get it. Like the coaches want to get a look at every single different thing the quarterback can do.
Okay, and Trent did Tua's last year, right?
Yeah,
it was a couple workout clips, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. That's interesting to me. What's going on?
Andrew did not throw at the Combine, but he did run and do testing and stuff like that.
Yeah, he did better than Cam, I think.
Yeah, ran the 4.59. Yeah,
damn. Hey, ran jump better than Cam.
They didn't outlast him, though.
Hey, did you say Cam? Someone said Cam's gonna get 40-50 mil next year.
Adam Schefter said 2-year deal, $40 to $50 million. Yeah, with incentives. He didn't say guaranteed though. With incentives, so he'd have to go and get it or whatever. And he said potentially Washington, but Alex Smith is owed $23 million next year in Washington. He's also currently 5-1 as the starter this year for the Washington football team. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I think Schefter was just throwing out like here's a potential landing spot or whatever he's hearing. I'll be intrigued, though. He wasn't hired for 86 nights and then 1 year in New England, not his best year by far, and potentially $50 million contract on the other side. That's wild.
It's wild to me that I wasn't 100% positive he was going to get looked at as a starter coming off of the Patriots run.
Me neither.
Doesn't look very healthy. Like his arm, the motion, how the ball comes out, it just looks weird. Like he's not healthy.
It is like a little glitch almost in the Matrix sometimes when he throws. He'll throw some beautiful balls, and then there'll be like a glitch or something that'll happen. I'm like, what happened there? Because, by the way, I'm one of Cam's biggest fans. Oh yeah, I mean, I got to watch. I had a front row seat to one of Cam's best games. I think it's just kind of one of those things where it doesn't look. You're out. I think he was probably thinking that as well, maybe until maybe his agent or Schefter even said this. He was like, I might have to go earn another opportunity somewhere, you know what I mean? But this news coming out, I assume Cam woke up this morning 4:20 a.m. Put the top hat on, you know what I mean?
Appreciate that a lot, Ron.
Thank you.
I'll come home for sure.
40 to 50 million, let's fucking go.
Let's team up again.
Got to get to a break here. The Arrow Tom Pelissero will be on the other side. Let's ask him about it. Let's
do it. I'm sure he knows.
I assume he knows. Now, we would have to mention, hey, Jay, there's a...
You'd have to
let him know.
You'd have to
mention
the thing.
You'd have to skate past the network of the.
I think Pat's trying to play the music, Jay. Oh,
there it is. What happened?
Oh, Jay didn't have the right one. Jay was staring me right in my face saying, I have it already turned up. But it was the wrong. Jay's handling like 6 things right now, okay? So, Jay, no offense taken there.
Oh, no.
And I hope you don't feel disrespected by the interaction we just had, Jay. I love you, man. But he definitely fucked that up.
Well,
a little bit.
Like, yeah, it happens. He's got 700 buttons back there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
But he had the music muted. You know, standard radio, hit the music, go to break. Jay's got 45 things going on over there.
A lot of knobs.
Plus planes flying overhead. He's trying to turn down microphones.
Yeah.
A lot of shit going on over there.
So that's what you guys were reacting to? I thought you were reacting to some weird story that you're not allowed to talk about.
No.
Okay. It was bringing up the Cam to Tom without saying where that information came from.
Greg Hill.
Oh, this is the Pat McAfee show. Tom, no, it came from Schefter.
Yeah.
But Tom Pelissero, we're going to have to say that reports are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
We will not say, because they are on 2 different teams, you see. They're Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Can't say the letters.
All right. We'll dance around it on the other side with you. Tom Pelissero on AJ Hawk's birthday here. Pat McAfee Show, Sirius XM, Channel 82, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Last night I was roaming around Canal and Bourbon, and it was a lot of purple. And when you get that Mercedes-Benz Dome, and it starts getting loud and it gets rompous, obviously, not only for momentum and swings like that it can help, but for the defensive line to get a jump. I think that is a big deal. A lot of freak athletes on the field, and kickers are a spectacle no matter what happens. Whenever you're in those high-pressure moments, you normally fall back on your fundamentals. You normally fall back on your technique. You try to take your brain out of it. Cade York gets a beautiful ball.
One person up in the parking
And think about him warming up right now. There's just 3 dudes in suits breaking down every single move he makes during his warm-up. What a wild scene here for Trevor Lawrence.
Quarterback, number 9, Joe Burrow.
You're supposed to be some draft expert, and you say Joe Burrow was a 5th-round draft pick before this year. Now he's number 1 overall. What do you know? What do you know, Todd?
Tim, handsome. It's ridiculous. What do you think has been happening in this first quarter? Why has Joe Burrow been stumped by this Clemson defense?
I think Brent Venables is the best DC in the country, and it's honestly not a shock to me. He did this to Tua last year.
Odell Beckham just stopped by.
Odell's very excited.
Odell's happy with the 52-yard attempt coming from the kid from Clemson. I've seen Odell make this with a spinning ball. And B.T. Potter puts it through from 52 in Odell's. Not in your face. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't in your face. You weren't looking at it.
That's a career high for B.T. Potter.
Bro, imagine Joe Burrow just having to stand in there and know that Isaiah Simmons is scot-free right in your suckle. That's a bad call. No chance Alberto Riveron would turn that over. He was in the Buccos organization.
Do not talk about
Pat McAfee.
Do not talk about
Pat McAfee.
One fight at a time, fellas.
The Pat McAfee Show.
That's right.
Ooh.
It's time.
It's a good song. Welcome back to the show here on AJ Hawk's birthday. Happy birthday to you, AJ.
Happy birthday, AJ.
Happy birthday, AJ.
Thank you.
What a life you lived, man. College champ, Super Bowl champ.
What?
Do you have the most tackles in Packers history?
I think so, yeah.
Wow!
Holy shit.
Hey, that franchise been around a long time. A lot of people tackling other humans on that team. The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, AJ Hawk.
Wow! Yeah! Greatness!
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think they started counting tackles like in 1999.
No,
You don't mean that.
There's no way.
Either way, you've been first ever
I mean, you
since.
had way more than Curly Lambeau. Or...
Curly Lambeau, actually, you know, I did a little research on old Curly before I called that Lions-Packers game.
Oh, yeah?
I was preparing to drop it whenever the Packers did anything good that game. They did nothing
They
good.
did.
Not a single thing good.
Smacked in the mouth.
The entire game. I had so much Packers. I had so much material. If there was one good drive for the Packers, which probably wasn't going to happen because Aaron got knocked out, I think, like second game or second play of the game.
Yep.
He played the third down, then they punted, and he was gone for the rest of the game. I was like, yeah. All right. So if there was just going to be one drive of Packers, the onslaught of information that would have been coming out when they get a first down like Curly Lambeau would have had, I mean, it would have been never ending. Joining us now, an insider from the NFL Network, ladies and gentlemen, the arrow, which is always pointing up, it seems, for this man, Tom Pelissero.
Yay!
What's going on, Tom?
Happy birthday, AJ.
Happy birthday, AJ.
Happy birthday, AJ.
Very nice of you to do that, Tom. Also, 3 callers earlier wanted to wish you a happy birthday, AJ. I don't know if you heard it or not. A guy named Caleb, Jacob, and Dan or something like that. Tom, I want to know right now about whatever's happening behind the scenes in the NFL that we need to know about. Please, right now. Tom, what's going on in the world of the NFL?
That's a hell of an opener. Where do you want to begin? We got 6 different coaching searches. We've got 6 or 7 GM openings right now. You've got the playoffs getting ready to start. there's a lot of moving parts. Let's put it that way.
Okay, let's start with the first GM hire, Caserio. How's that going to work out? Was Deshaun Watson tweeting about him whenever he says same story, or was he talking about social justice things going on with Jacob Blake? How do you think the GM hiring process is going for everybody? And let's start with the Houston Texans.
I can't speak for Deshaun Watson. Certainly the timing made a lot of people curious about what he was tweeting about. With Nick Caserio, I mean, he's a guy who's been on the Texans' radar for a long time, and specifically last year when they tried to bring him over, but based on some contractual clauses, they were not able to bring him in for an interview. The NFL actually created a rule this year that you no longer can put in those type of clauses that prevent people from interviewing for potential promotions. So Caserio was available. He certainly entertained GM options in recent years. He's one of those guys on the short list of front office executives who really, when you ask around about them within the league, you don't hear anything bad on Nick Caserio. He's respected as a guy. He's really sharp. He's respected as a evaluator. He works at it. He's been in one place for a long time in New England with a guy in Bill Belichick who really has his fingerprints on every decision. Now he goes to Houston, takes over a team that, they have Deshaun Watson. Okay, they have a quarterback. That's a huge part of the equation. He showed this season, Watson did, that, even with all the other issues around him, he at least single-handedly can keep you in games. But you've got a salary cap that is in rough shape right now.
Tough.
You've got a bunch of huge contracts for older players that were negotiated during the brief, fleeting Bill O'Brien general manager era.
Tough.
The money committed to guys like Zach Cunningham and Whitney Merciless and Laramie Tunsil, who did play up to the contract, but it was a 3-year deal, $22 million a year, that completely blew the entire market out of the water. So you're locked into these things, and you don't have picks because they traded away so many picks in the Tunsil deal, among others. So you have some challenges there. I would certainly expect, I don't know the exact length of Casario's deal, I would expect it's a longer deal because the Texans have to know they've got a lot of work to do, not just to rebuild the roster, but really rebuild the culture in reflection of some of the complaints and concerns you heard voiced most prominently by J.J. Watt.
Okay, J.J.'s probably getting cut. They saved $17 million if they cut him. A lot of big names potentially going to get cut this offseason because the salary cap is going to plateau. Excited to keep up with the arrow Tom Pelissero all offseason and see those moves being made. One move was alluded to this morning by reports that were breaking off the Greg Hill show. Cam Newton potentially going to get a 2-year deal worth $40 to $50 million. Is there a market for Cam Newton, you think, in this offseason? Because I think a lot of us were surprised to hear that there's a chance that he's still going to be able to be a starter, not have to potentially go back up somewhere and go back up after the year that he's had in New England after being unemployed for 86 days. Even though I'm a big fan, that was a little bit surprising to me.
Cam Newton's last time really being an effective NFL quarterback was the first half of the 2018 season. Before he hurt the shoulder, then he hurt the foot in 2019, didn't play much, comes back this year, was up and down. What did he throw, 6 touchdown passes the entire season?
8.
I mean, you're going to have a plan. You're going to have to bet on the medical. You're going to have to think about a lot of things when it comes to Cam Newton. I mean, think of it this way, and this is just kind of always the macro view on the quarterback position. You have to look at how many teams need a guy and how many teams or how many potential guys are available. They're potentially, depending on who you ask right now in terms of scouts, GMs around the league, there could be 5, maybe even 6 quarterbacks in the first round of this year's draft. So you're talking about a pretty robust rookie class, starting off with Trevor Lawrence. You've got a bunch of potential quarterbacks now who could be available. Phillip Rivers on a 1-year deal. We don't know exactly what happens with Drew Brees. Mitch Trubisky had his option declined. He'll be available. Cam Newton is somewhere on the list. Jameis Winston goes back because he was on a 1-year deal as well. For guys like Jameis and Cam Newton, there wasn't a huge market last year. They had to wait for a while to even find homes. And so, we'll see exactly what the market bears. I just don't know, from based on the people I've talked to, who would be willing to commit substantial amounts every single time. I'm starting to think it's you guys calling me. That's my only theory. I don't get any more no caller ID calls than when I'm on this show.
Well,
but yeah, I mean, you're just gonna have to figure out whether or not there's really a marketplace for him, because I just don't know how you're going to commit substantial guaranteed money based upon not just this season for Cam Newton, but if you look back over the past 3 years.
Yeah, he stunk this year. It was a shame he stunk this year, too. I was bummed out about it. I was his biggest supporter. I just think he's going to have to earn another spot. When I heard that this morning, I was surprised as well. AJ, what do you got?
Well, what's a shame with Cam Newton is just, if you go back, sorry, AJ, but when you go back to 2015, which was the MVP season, you go back to Cam's MVP season, he really added the element of being able to play from the pocket. He became much better passer. When you add that to how physical of a runner he was and the way that could create mismatches and favorable matchups on the back end, he was a really unique threat. But the moment that you start getting beat up when you play the position that way, it's going to have a trickle-down effect on the type of defensive looks you're seeing, as well as how much you want to run Cam Newton. Mechanically, he doesn't look like the same guy. Certainly, you don't want to run him 20 times a game at this point. It's complicated with him because you have to kind of run an offense that's built around that skill set. But at this point, you have to ask yourself, what is Cam Newton's skill set that you want to build around?
Hey, Tom, what about all the head coaching positions open? Like, who do you think might be the first one to kind of come off the board, and who's going to get hired, and where would it be?
It's a great question, AJ, because this year's search process by Pat is playing out a little bit differently because, all the initial interviews. What do you got there?
My thingy died. I'm listening to you through a headphone of a thing over here. It's kind of faint, but my thing dies like 6 a day. I'm probably terrible for the world. We'll change it, though. We'll get better. Yeah. We'll get better.
Let's clip that quote from Pat out of context. My thing dies 6 times a day. Just leave that, run that in promos forever.
Hey, if I'm doing 6 times a day, Tom, I'm pretty pumped. Even if she dies, pal. Even if she dies.
The process with the hiring is a little bit different this year because all these initial interviews you'd normally be able to do with, let's say, the Eric Bieniemys of the world who've already interviewed for 5 of the 6 openings, you could do those in person. You could fly in during the bye week, go talk to them. Same thing with all the coaches who are in wildcard games this week. After this game, anytime next week, even if you win, you'd be able to do those in person. Now those are all over Zoom. So you've got a huge bunch of the coaches. There's 2 fewer buys now too. So you have fewer coaches who are available to interview right now. The ones who are available can only do it on Zoom, except for the guys who are not currently in the playoffs. The likes of Robert Saleh, you could bring him in for an in-person interview. So it's a little harder to project at this point who's going to land where. I mean, I would tell you in Houston, with Nick Caserio getting that GM job, you certainly have to think first about guys out of the Patriots tree, especially Jack Easterby is there as well. If you're looking at guys like Brian Dable, the Bills offensive coordinator, who's going to be hot for several positions, he's definitely going to be in the mix with the Chargers. He's definitely going to be in the mix with the New York Jets. Guys like Gerard Mayo, who's currently on the Patriots staff, not that far removed from his playing career. It would not be a surprise if you see him pop up with an interview. They already interviewed Joe Brady in Houston, who'd be another interesting one. I believe him and Nick Caserio have some kind of a relationship. So you could see a guy like that popping up there. It's somebody who's going to be able to get the best out
What's
of the
the
quarterback, or at least
relationship?
have a plan for getting the best out of the quarterback.
What's the relationship there? What matters in one of these football relationships to get people hired? Like they Oculus box together or like they coach together, they got coffee together? Because remember, McVay got like 5 people hired just because they happened to take a piss in the same bathroom one time.
Yep. That's a hell of a visual. Well, I mean, there was in part,
a bunch of urinals.
You want alignment. That's the biggest thing. Like, let's take the Carolina general manager opening. Okay, Matt Rule wants somebody who he knows or has some kind of pre-existing relationship with to make sure they're going to be aligned. And it's hard to tell that in a 2-hour Zoom call. Yeah, you can bring them in eventually, do an interview through masks. This is the most challenging time ever to hire a GM, and yet this is the year where we have 7 openings when normally there's only 1 or 2. So in Carolina, you connect the dots. Adam Peters played for Rule at UCLA. He knows guys like Ed Dodds from the Colts, who was interviewing today, and I would expect to be a strong candidate for that position. Jerry Reese worked with Rule for a year with the Giants. It's not the end-all, be-all. I mean, you're talking about really narrowing your pool. This, frankly, is partly responsible for the lack of diversity in the NFL. Is you've got a lot of, I'm already comfortable with that guy. Well, when you have this disparity in terms of the makeup of NFL players versus the makeup of NFL front offices and coaching staffs, and then you end up with people hiring, I don't want to say they're buddies, but people they already know, well, odds are it's going to be a guy who looks like you. So
who is it? Who was it, Tom?
I think it's you. That's my only theory at this point.
Nope. I got football in my hands because that's what we're doing. It's a record-breaking. But I do believe Rappaport potentially calls you because every time he's on, he gets those same calls, I think, from you every single time.
And then he hangs up and then rips me for being too boring on the show, and then he hangs up on you, which I've never done. So just...
Did you hear him ask me who's better, you or him?
Yeah, and I understood your answer. I didn't necessarily agree that I don't give you enough when I get a call on the air.
You don't.
When it's a no caller ID call, there's not much I can do.
Yeah, but every single time you say that, and the only person that knows if that's the case or not is You know what I mean? So, like, we don't. Ian gave us I gotta go. Yeah. That means we're like, okay, we have something to talk about at least for the next 20 minutes because he's about to break some news. Because you guys, by the way, whenever there's down days, it's your guys' position in the sports world to generate news, basically. It's a very vital thing in this entire world. Like this offseason, we appreciate you for your work already because you're going to give us 15, 20 minutes of shit to talk about probably on a daily basis. You know what I mean?
Here's the other thing, though. When Ian hangs up on you, the one that he hung up on you last time, which was we ended up breaking the Dwayne Haskins release from Washington. Like, that was a real one. But I would not put it past him at all to sometimes just be like, hold on, I got a call. Like, when he wants to wrap up the interview, just be like, I got to take this. It's something big. Like, Ian Rappaport is the king of acting like he knows everything. Like, anytime I call him and just say, like, hey, I got this thing, this is coming, he's always like, oh, yeah, I heard that. It is very rare to call him and have him say, wow, really? Like, even if I know he doesn't actually have it, it's, yeah, no, I heard that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, sounds good. That's him. I love him, but that's him.
Is there a little beef within the barracks, pal? Is there a little bit of enemy within our own camp? Are you guys rowing the boat in the same direction over there at NFL Network?
No, we say the same thing to his face that I'm saying to you now. He's the absolute king of always saying, yeah, I had that. Every time.
Couple quick questions here. John Elway fires himself and promotes himself in the same move. Awesome. Goes up top. Who's going to potentially fill that role? Is that Peyton Manning coming in there to do that?
Doesn't sound like it's going to be Peyton Manning. Peyton would have to decide that he wants to go do that. You know, Peyton seems to be enjoying retirement life and kind of popping up here and there, doing his TV shows or whatever it is. Yeah. You know, but there's several strong candidates for that job. Again, you connected, first of all, to some of the people who have been in that building in the past. Champ Kelly, who's the assistant player personnel director for the Bears, also worked with Vic Fangio in Chicago. Those two have a really good relationship. Vic's part of the search process. Champ was previously in Denver. He'd be a candidate. Adam Peters from the 49ers, Dave Ziegler from the Patriots. Those names would all make sense, former Broncos employees. They've also put in for George Payton from the Vikings. Thomas Dimitroff, who's the former Falcons general manager, had a strong interview in Detroit a couple of weeks ago. Now Ian's calling me.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You guys got an insider source there?
I'll call him back when we're done.
What if it's breaking news?
Guys, I got to go. No. Oh, okay. So there's a bunch of they're running a wide search. They're kind of at the beginning of it right now. That's a job that has a lot of potential. I mean, living in Denver, they got a good facility. You know, you've got a lot of questions in terms of the roster, but you do have some good young talent on the team, the Cortland Suttons of the world. They've got a lot of potential in that building, so I would expect that that's going to be a coveted job.
Hey, what about we know like there's been the rumors of Urban Meyer to Jacksonville, who knows, Dabo and Harbaugh's out there. Are we going to see one of these head coaching positions filled by a college coach or an ex-college coach like Urban?
Entirely possible, AJ, especially in Jacksonville, which absolutely is open to the idea of Urban Meyer. They've certainly discussed it. It's a matter of, are you going to make the financial commitment to somebody who is not coached in the NFL? And Urban's not coming cheap. Whatever the figure is when he was looking for college jobs, it was around $12 million. Whatever the number is for NFL teams, it's going to be a lot of money. You're committing to somebody on probably a longer-term type of deal every time, a longer-term type of a deal in order to lure him in. And quite frankly, and I'm not being insensitive at all with this, but Urban Meyer is a guy who has had significant health issues. He retired from Florida after some stress-related things. He was admitted to a hospital with chest pains. He retired from Ohio State after dealing with a congenital brain cyst. When you're talking about the NFL, you're not going 12-1 every year in the NFL. I mean, you go to Jacksonville, if you go 9-7, it's a big step forward. That's a lot, on someone. So certainly it sounds like Urban thinks that he is up to it health-wise. It certainly seems like he has a strong interest in it. But all those things are kind of these unanswered questions that, as the Jaguars move through their interview process, they talked to Eric Bieniemy today. They're going to talk to Raheem Morris tomorrow. They got Robert Saleh on Saturday. They're doing their homework. But certainly Urban is lurking in the background, and so at least now you're going to have several other interviews and possibilities to compare him to.
Tom, the boys have a couple questions, but my final one here is Carson Wentz is going to what team other than the Indianapolis Colts?
Besides the Colts?
No, he's not coming to the Colts. Matty Stafford's coming to the Colts. You broke that news already. The Carson Wentz, where's Carson Wentz going to end up at, you think? And is there a market for Carson Wentz out there?
There's a market for Carson Wentz. The question just becomes, what can the Eagles realistically get from him? in terms of draft pick compensation, because he's due, off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact number, but I think it's like 22.5 next year. And so that's not huge money if you think you're getting a franchise quarterback. But now you got to go back through the past really 3 years of tape, going back to the knee injury he had in 2017 at the Coliseum. Do you think that you can harness that guy who was an MVP candidate in his second season prior to when he went down, or are you getting the Carson Wentz who just has been beat up? He's dealt with several different injuries and was not all that effective this year. I know that there are people, I can tell you this factually, there are people in the league who still believe Carson Wentz can be a franchise quarterback. They think that the style of offense that's being run right now, some of the challenges they've had at the skill spots along the offensive line, that all that has been disadvantageous to Carson Wentz, not to mention that he's playing in a challenging media market on a team that on all sides of the ball is bad right now. They won the Super Bowl 3 years ago. He, of course, was hurt. It was Nick Foles who took over, but they were a good team. They made the playoffs the past 2 seasons. This year was a complete flop. It was a complete failure from every aspect. So the first question is, do the Eagles actually want to deal him? Will they
have to
deal him? If you're talking about exploring the trade market, then okay, can you get a first-round draft pick for Carson Wentz? Is it something substantially less than that? If you get offered a 3 for Carson Wentz, but you can unload the salary and play with Jalen Hurts, is that enough? Do you want to make that move? And part of this is going to be on Carson Wentz, too. I know that my colleague Mike Garafolo reported this a couple of days ago, that you can expect those conversations between Carson Wentz and Carson Wentz's representation and the Eagles probably to get going within the next week or two here, because this is not something you're going to deal with in March, right before free agency. With all the other things we discussed with quarterbacks in the draft, free agents, other potential trade possibilities, whether it's Matthew Stafford or otherwise, you need to start figuring out right now, what are we going to do with Carson Wentz, because that's going to set the rest of your offseason plan.
Gumpy!
Yeah, Tom, it truly broke my heart to see Chan Gailey resign this morning. I'm just wondering if you're hearing any rumblings of who could take the OC job in Miami.
And Tom, before you answer that guy potentially pushed Chan Gailey to resigning this morning with him. He's a diehard Dolphins fan, and he danced on Chan Gailey's firing grave yesterday because he feels like Chan Gailey ruined Tua this year, basically.
Well, I mean, I would tell you this. Evaluators in the league thought that Tua was the perfect fit for the offense that Chan Gailey wanted to run. I mean, everything would seem to be set up for Tua to have success in that scheme. And the question now for Brian Flores is just, do you continue to try to run that style of offense, the spread it out, shotgun, see the field, distribute the football type of an offense? Or do you, for the third time in your 3 seasons as head coach, do you do something completely different offensively? You've got guys that Brian Flores has relationships with. Bill O'Brien is one. Don't forget Jim Caldwell is still out there. He was originally on Flores' staff. He wasn't the offensive coordinator, but I believe he was assistant head coach in 2019 prior to Jim had some health concerns before training camp, had to step away from the staff, did not coach last year, did not coach this year, but somebody who, certainly I would expect would be interested in offensive coordinator jobs. If that door is open, that's a name I would not discount either.
Tom, what about Adam Gase? Bring Adam back, OC.
Come on back down to Miami, 305, MIAO.
Adam will have opportunities to come back as an offensive coordinator. If you look at his numbers through the years, statistical rankings, not just with Peyton Manning, but even the stuff he did in Chicago, he's been a pretty good offensive coordinator through the course of his career.
Okay.
It will not be in Miami. I can
sure.
virtually guarantee you that. I know I saw one report that, potentially reuniting with Nick Saban, who gave, I think, Gase his first job at Michigan State way back in the day. That would be one consideration. If Adam wants to coach, remember, he's still got years left on his contract here. If he wants to coach in 2021, I would certainly think that there would be interest in him as an offensive coordinator. Just a matter of whether or not, it would be dialed up for it to happen right now.
You friends with Adam Gase? You got to be. Yeah, you are.
Neighbors.
I wouldn't say I'm friends with anybody in the NFL, but I know Adam a little bit, sure.
Yeah, you have to. All right, anyways, Tiggs, what do you got?
Tom, when can we expect to hear the news about the suspensions of Jedrick Wills and Rashad Higgins for joyriding around Cleveland like Dom Toretto?
Yeah, so obviously...
Drag racing, I believe, is the actual charge.
In Westlake, I guess, which is a very uppity area in Cleveland, they were drag racing, allegedly. They potentially were just trying to get home to get to a Zoom meeting, okay? They were down the road working out at a gym that they closed down. Nice. They desanitized.
There was marijuana, cigarette, and dope in the car.
No, well, listen, that might have been part of the Zoom call. Okay, they wanted to get into the Zoom call. They were racing back to get to the Zoom call, obviously. But with the Cleveland situation, how it is, there was a conversation about, are they going to be able to stop this spread before the game? Are we moving the game? I mean, this has been the Cleveland Browns dog pound do not deserve what is happening from COVID in their first playoff appearance in 75 years or whatever. It's insane.
Here's how messed up my brain has become over the past 10 months here was my first thought when I saw they were drag racing was, oh, it's good they weren't in the same car. Because, of course, that would be a potential protocol violation for COVID, and
Bingo.
that's a much larger issue. As it stands now, it's a first-degree misdemeanor punishable by up to 6 months and a $1,000 fine.
6 months in jail. By the way,
I don't think they're getting 6 months in jail. They pled not guilty this morning, but that would surprise me.
I want to let you know, for my alleged incident, when I was in jail and then I had my court hearing in the jail, they said, sir, do you understand that this is punishable of up to 30 days in jail or something? I said, 30 days? I actually said 30 days in jail? Sir, my lawyer was basically like, shut up. I don't understand that. I did not know that was something that was potentially staring me down in the face right now. I don't know that, Your Honor. Well, you want to go back to your cell by yourself? No, I do know that. Yeah, get me the fuck out of here. Tom, we appreciate your time, buddy. I assume you have news to break. And things to do, and Ian Rappaport conversations to be had. And every time you join us, we appreciate you, buddy.
I'm going to call him. We'll get him on speakerphone one of these times when I drop some nugget on him so you can see the reaction.
Nice. I like that. You guys are a great little team over there. Appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Pelissero.
Yeah, Tommy!
Woo! Happy birthday, AJ.
Happy birthday, AJ.
Happy birthday, AJ.
Thank you. I love to hear those stories about he and Rappaport together. Like, do you think Rappaport's ever been like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's a great scoop you got. Like, has he ever done that?
I wonder if he ever hyped up Tom a little bit, congratulated him, gave him a shout out. No way. I think
he would be pissed.
But I think Ian told us one time that he was a massive part of Tom getting hired.
Yeah.
So that's probably always the sensei situation that's going on over there. There's a lot of people on the internet, though, that if you ever told them, you never hear them go, oh, I didn't know that. And you've said that, I think, AJ, haven't you, a couple times?
Well, I've said it's never fun to hang out with somebody that's never asked you a question. That just has all the answers. That's never been like, what do you think about that? Like, I'm sure you go back and you think about some people that are absolute turds. It's just like whatever you're saying, it's not registered. And they're just holding on to, okay, here, when can I talk? When can I talk?
By the way, another thing he has learned in his 37 trips around the sun that he hopes everybody has. Way to go, AJ.
Thank you for that, AJ.
It's been an inspiring birthday.
Nice little nugget.
Yeah, it is. Just dropping it out of nowhere. AJ, I hope you have a great Arby's sandwich day for your birthday.
Oh, if you're lucky.
We had that run with Arby's there, a little partnership with them. We gave away bricks and hashtag Arby's is great and everything like that. We gave away a bunch of stuff.
Meat suit.
I believe it's going to lead to another partnership in 2021.
No way.
We did it, dude. We successfully, I think we have successfully become a tag team with the greatest fast food chain, Arby's, for maybe a whole nother year.
Wow. Thank you, Arby's.
Thank you, Arby's. Dude. So pumped, bro. That is an accomplishment that I wish I could print out and put it on the fucking fridge.
Yeah.
Shout out to Arby's.
Make a banner for it.
Hope you get some smokehouse brisket, 13 hours slow roasted on your birthday today, AJ. We'll send some to the house.
Yeah, please do. Can't wait.
Let's go, Travis.
Whoa. What was that?
You kidding?
What was that all about?
No, I wasn't even listening to you because I'm thinking I was just laughing during Tom's interview when you just get so antsy. You're hitting a hockey puck in the middle of it. He's like, "Oh, Robert Salah," and you just yell "Bob" out of nowhere for whatever reason. Like the whole time, I'm just dying. I'm like, "How is Tom holding it together?"
I don't know, dude, because he gets going sometimes.
Oh yeah,
and he does. And there's so much information coming at you that every once in a while you can kind of start drifting off. I got to do things to stay involved in that thing.
We've been talking hockey today. I mean, you wanted to pick up the stick and get a slapper in.
Bro,
can't blame you.
It was a Canadips thing. It's the perfect size of a puck. I've shattered that tin more than 3 times with this thing. Let's go to Travis in Michigan. What's going on, Travis?
Hey, guys. Happy birthday, AJ.
Hey, happy birthday, AJ.
Happy birthday, AJ.
Woo! AJ's 37 today.
Wow.
I just want to give you guys a shout out. I received a $100 gift today, so that was a pretty good start.
Shout out to either Connor or Nick, and shout out to you, Travis. We appreciate you. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Alrighty, so I want to know the better head coaching job. Would you rather go to the Jacksonville Jaguars and have the money and the picks, or the Chargers and have the established team?
That's a great question, actually. Jaguars, you got no state income tax either.
Yeah,
that certainly helps.
Yeah, but now you got a game or two in London every year, though, as well.
Shit.
So I think there's a couple of different, if you do a pros and cons board for both things, both life and football included, I think it's going to be pretty well even, I think. That's a great question there. Now, you're banking on Trevor Lawrence being a good quarterback. You know Justin Herbert's going to be. So if you want to take the safe route, maybe you just take the Justin Herbert option instead of the Trevor Lawrence option. What would you do, AJ? What are your thoughts?
It is a tough one to think about. I think the Chargers right now is the most appealing job. The Jacksonville, like the potential that is there to set something up, but hey, they've been trying for a long time. They haven't really figured it out. But the Chargers have all the pieces in place. Like, it's not a normal job that you would take over. Like, normally when you're taking over a head coaching gig, it's like a total rebuild. We got to figure something out. Like, you don't have that in the Chargers at all.
Last call here, Nathan in Alaska. What's going on, Nathan? Alaska. Nice.
Hey, what's up, Matt? Hey, happy birthday, AJ. Broncos, we need Peyton Manning for GM.
Okay.
100%.
Not a bad idea.
So I want to talk about the ownership situation and how next year they could have a $10 million fine, and they could have $2 million fine per owner as well. So what should the Broncos do? I've heard they're possibly going to sell the team. What do you think?
I don't know, but I love that you're in Alaska calling this show, listening to this show, and you're a Broncos
Freezing
fan.
my ass off, man.
Yeah, well, it's a whole different level of cold. And, I heard you got 24 hours of sunlight, 24 hours of darkness up there. We appreciate you. I have no idea what's going on with the Broncos ownership, though. That is not something you should be calling me about.
Peyton's not going there. He's got the best show on ESPN Plus by a mile.
Peyton Places is awesome.
Yeah.
Who do you have? Dave Letterman. They're running full football out there. Roger Goodell, my commissioner, by the way, deserves a goddamn Emmy for his performance in Peyton's Places. AJ, happy birthday, dude. We appreciate the hell out of you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Chris Mad Dog Russo is on next. My birthday gift to you is going to be allowing you and telling you could use my SiriusXM code to get into Listen to Mad Dog Unleashed because it's much better than this show.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'll do to you, AJ. I'll text you my code.
Thank you. I cannot wait. I'm anxiously waiting that code.
We were anxiously awaiting the phone call to call your show. We sorry that we missed that. 1-888-MAD-DOG-6. We'll talk to all of you tomorrow. Chris Mad Dog Russo with Mad Dog Unleashed is next here on SiriusXM Channel 82, Mad Dog Sports Radio. This has been the Pat McAfee Show on AJ Hawk's birthday. I think just birth made it, because it got cut. I don't know if day. So this is the Pat McAfee Show on AJ Hawk's birth.
Nice.
That works too.
That is still valid.
Did you name any of your kids Mike or no?
No, I did not name my kids Mike. I would think about naming a dog Mike maybe, but no.
Why won't you just name one of your human kids Mike? Why wouldn't you do that? You have 10 of them.
I'm not going to change any of their names now. I think it'd be tough for them to kind of, reacclimate to a new name. The youngest is 3, so yeah, Mike would work. I don't know. Maybe someday. You know what? I'm not clipped. Maybe you never know. We may have some more.
Oh, okay. So there's an announcement. We learned that Stipe's fighting this year in the next couple months, and we learned AJ might have another child named Mike Hawk.
3-year-olds don't know shit. Just change their name to Mike.
It's true.
I mean, I could figure it out. Yeah.
Do 3-year-olds respond to their name?
Yeah, 3-year-olds can speak and let you know things.
Kinda.
Really? They wipe their own butts, or they have diapers?
That's kind of like, between like 2.5, 3.5. That's when people start to take dumps on the toilet.
I'll tell you what, if that kid in a diaper is starting to put sentences together and talk to me, it's going to be hard to fucking take him serious if he can't shit in the toilet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The real thing. It is a real thing. Like when like, hey, man, why did you just dump your pants? The last 2 weeks you've been going to the toilet. Like, what happened? Like, I don't understand the disconnect here. They never have an answer. There's never an answer.
I've heard those kids are creative, though. The minds are a beautiful thing, I've heard.
If they dump their pants?
No, just at that age. I've heard that it gets pretty wide open in some of those thoughts of those children.
Absolutely. Because they don't have any, all their thoughts, and they're so innocent. They're just seeing things for the first time. They just act they're super blunt. It's pretty impressive, actually.
All right, AJ, have a great birthday. We appreciate the hell out of you, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, birthday boy, AJ Hawk. Thank you, AJ.
Happy birthday, AJ!
Somebody had breaking news? Are they still storming Capitol over there?
It's getting worse.
Really?
You have to assume.
Okay, so I saw some comments while the show was going on. Got up to 30,000 a day, by the way. We appreciate the hell out of you. We're at 25,000 currently, and I don't know why you're listening or watching, but we appreciate the hell out of you. There's a couple comments. We're talking about the NFL right now, and Capitals being stormed, and I was like, it was wild. Tom Pelissero was talking, and I was like, oh, so we're
still in it.
We're still in it right now.
Uh-huh.
You know, I did notice that if a video of something like that makes it into my timeline, and I addressed it on the show, like, hey, if it makes it to my timeline, it has had to go on.
There's a lot of them right now.
It has got to go through a lot of things to get to my particular timeline because I'm a blinders guy. Okay, I'm gonna keep the blinders on. And maybe that's something that I would like to, a nugget that I've learned in these 33 years is like, hey, it's okay to stay in your own lane. All right, you know what I mean? And maybe you don't have to know everything about a lot of things or anything like that. And by the way, they say ignorance is bliss for a long time. You know, you can actually do that in your life and just, you know, it kind of does help. Now, you will get made fun of by your more sophisticated friends for not knowing what to do in most conversations whenever they get around those things. But also, I feel like you're probably going to be a much happier person. So if something makes it into my life, then I know it's a big deal in their lives.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a big deal if it has worked its way in there. That's wild. Hope everybody's okay.
T's and P's.
Stay safe out there.
Stay safe, yeah. It is
You
no
did
joke.
say yesterday, head down tomorrow.
Head down. And hopefully everyone in the chamber is still doing that.
It's crazy, huh?
Wild. I mean, this is truly a mad time. Yeah.
As soon as we get out of here, we're going to go watch all those videos, I'd assume?
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
That water pipe is going to get hit rather hard, and then we're going to watch all these videos, and then we're just going to go ahead and probably start making fun of all the people in the videos.
I mean...
And that's how we handle things. I don't know how you'll handle them.
Stay safe.
Help you stay safe over there. We will be back tomorrow, we think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we think we'll be back tomorrow with Monster Show.
Oh, huge show tomorrow.
You're not going to want to miss it. Huge update from somebody that has been talked about during this week.
The hell does that mean?
Oh, yeah, we got Tom Segura.
Oh,
come on.
All right. We will see you tomorrow. Tom Segura is on the show. Stay safe, please. And it's okay to stay in your own world. But if something makes it into your world, probably going to have to check it out a little bit, learn a little bit. That is what we all got going on. We've given away how much money? $7,500, $4,500, $5,000?
I'm in the process
over
of
10.
giving away 5,000.
I still got to get mine approved.
The 44 has been given away from Monday's show.
Okay, so that's given away.
Sent those
Nick,
out.
have you given away yours?
Yes, they've all been given away.
Okay, so we've given away $9,500 in the last 2 days.
Whoa.
That's pretty cool. Foxy, have you given away your money yet?
No, I haven't talked to Phil. I got to get it approved.
you selfish.
Phil.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to talk to Phil.
Yeah, that's what you told me to do, didn't you?
No.
I don't remember
This
that.
is your money.
No,
Foxy's money.
Dude,
Your money.
I got to get this approved. I don't have that.
This
Get off your wallet, Foxy.
Why don't you go to the bank and get a goddamn loan then? Get that approved.
Yeah, Foxy, by the way, the banks right now, who knows how that whole thing's going. I watched a documentary the other day.
Oh, no.
Yeah, should have done it. Should have stayed in my own lane. Shouldn't have done it. But that whole thing happened. But Foxy says, I'm giving away my money.
Yeah.
And then I'll get a text from Phil. It's like, oh, this fucking hero, huh? It's his money, huh?
Well, it's interesting when I say $100, that turns into $7,500. Then I got to make a phone call.
You got to do that.
No, it's
You were celebrating the fact that you were doing that.
Fox.
Anyways, tomorrow, if the concurrent viewers gets to 32,000, no, 33,000 tomorrow.
Okay,
we'll give away another $300.
Let's go.
I thought you were going to say if the Capitol's still standing tomorrow, we'll give away another.
Is it like that?
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
Yeah, it is. They're going to have to deploy some people to get that thing back.
Our fucking Capitol?
Yeah, not even making a joke here. Like, genuinely, they have to, get that situation under control fast.
Need
let's
Mike
go.
Banning down there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know who that is, but
Olympus has fallen.
Yeah.
The
I don't
guy,
know what that is.
The guy from 300. Jerry Butler.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right, T's and P's for everybody. This has been the Pat McAfee Show.